surrounding the Nebraska-Michigan game is that RG3 is on the ABC broadcast.
Oh, really?
Yes, that may keep people's interest because of whatever RG3 may say. That could be off the wall. He will also have a love fest with Blake Corum, as that is his Heisman pick.
Yeah.
But I'm here for 60 minutes of RG3. I find him unique. I find him different. It's kind of refreshing because everybody that is in that role seems to be, they follow the same standard.
Yeah.
He just kind of is his own person, and he's had an interesting life post Baylor football to developing a media career. But yeah, he might keep your interest for 60 minutes if the game itself does not.
Yeah, he's a little bit of a wild card. I don't dislike him. Every once in a while, it seems like he's trying a little bit too hard, but he's an interesting personality at least.
I mean, there's so many buttoned up people that are in that role. He's at least different. He'll say some off the wall stuff. I mean, I think he got a little upset at the another dud of a Thursday night football game last night on Amazon, which surprise, two bad quarterbacks playing, two bad teams playing, a weather game, and you get another dud on a Thursday night. But it was a basketball night in the state of Nebraska last night, as now blue and red Nebraska are 2-0, and black Nebraska is 2-0 against the spread. So at the end of the day, everybody is a winner.
I would say, who's the real winner in that scenario? It's the team that covers every game.
Yeah. So here's the thing about last night's Omaha Nebraska game down in Lincoln. That Nebraska won 75-61. There's a lot about that game, and essentially both games played in the state last night. Creighton throttled North Dakota. Creighton looked like a top 10 team.
Mm-hmm.
Is both of those games were over almost right away. The Nebraska-Omaha game was over by the first media timeout. Now, I know technically it was not, and Omaha got within 6, and they made it kind of interesting, and then it would yo-yo a little bit. But once Nebraska got out to an 11-0 lead, that completely threw Omaha off kilter. They never got settled in defensively the entire night, and they were battling uphill, and they tried to go with a little bit of a physicality. They tried to rough up Nebraska a little bit, and Nebraska went to the line 31 times. And I thought some of the calls that, Omaha lost their composure a little bit, some of the calls they disagreed with. So that game essentially was over from the jump. And that's unfortunate. Even though Omaha made a run, they got within 6, they were down 10 at halftime, and you thought, here we go. They made another run in the second half. But as that game got to the end,
mm-hmm.
it is how things have changed about, we all know the spread. So the spread was what, 17.5, 18? Someone told me it got up to 18.
Okay.
So as that game got towards the end, Nebraska got up 17 in the game, and they had the ball to go up 19, and we were about 90 seconds to go. So Hoiberg was like, he had his son in the game and some other guys, and they were not interested. And you could almost feel it in the people that were left.
Yeah.
Of like, hello, do you not know? Hello.
Freddie, what are we doing here?
Yeah. But then Creighton on the other end had no problem last night covering against North Dakota. And that game, maybe after a little bit of a slow start, then that was just a full throttling by Creighton to go to 2-0. And now we are on a football Friday as 2-0 for Nebraska and Creighton, 0-2 now for Omaha.
Yeah, the concerns about shooting were alleviated for one night at least, which so that'll be nice to not have to talk about that at least for another few days until they get to Holy Cross on Monday, and we'll see how that goes. No, they looked like they were supposed to look against St. Thomas. They looked like a top 10 team. They kind of just rolled and dominated, and that honestly, the game probably wasn't even as close as the 35-point margin. There was a stretch in there with a lot of players that are not going to see a lot of action for Creighton for the last 10 minutes of the game there. So, there's not a ton of takeaways. That's how Creighton was supposed to look.
I keep saying about Creighton, and I know they rolled up a big number, and Kalkbrenner looked like Kalkbrenner, who was feeling better, is their whole motto of let it fly, and they shoot the 3, and they score a lot of points, and they're fun to watch. It's about defense. And they're really good defensively last year. That's what's going to carry them, I believe, nightly in the Big East is on defense. Like Ryan Nebhard, who is kind of an interesting role this year. We talked about it earlier in the week. And, is he a facilitator? Is he going to score points? But he was better defensively last night.
Yeah.
Like he spearheaded that. And I think that's what they'll hang their hat on. I honestly think if this team is to make a long run, they won't be known for the starting 5, which can be, the Death Star starting 5, is they will be known because they can get up on you. They're long. They have a shot blocker. They can play defense. They can clean the glass. They're smart defensively. They switch. They do all those things that you need to be an elite defensive team. And as long as they say a top 20 defensive team, that's going to go a long way. And I think that's what they'll be known for as the season goes along. And it's okay to say that.
Yeah,
You
no,
can still drink the beer and say, let it fly. But you're like, hey, man, I like the defense.
the defense is what takes them from being a nice top 25 team, a kind of plucky contender in the Big East to, oh, this is a top 10 team. This is a team that could go to the Final Four. The defense is what raises that ceiling. Now, they don't have that ceiling if they don't shoot the ball well either, because you still got to score points. But the difference between this Creighton team and Creighton teams of the past is the fact that they really can lock up defensively against. I mean, you saw it last year in the NCAA tournament, even though they were shorthanded. You saw it throughout the Big East season last year. If they can bring that same level of defensive intensity, which it looks like we've seen it in stretches over the first couple games this year, and add back in some of the offensive elements that they've been known for, it's the defense that's going to be able to carry them through a run in March, when shots aren't falling and atmospheres are weird and you're playing in weird arenas that maybe don't have good sight lines and things like that. The defense is the more portable version of what's good on that team.
So if I'm doing my prep for future Summit League conference games, who's better, North Dakota or St. Thomas, if they meet on a neutral floor?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think
Because North Dakota is projected 10th.
Yes.
St. Thomas is 8th. Omaha is 9th.
I thought North Dakota was more talented. St. Thomas is probably going to end up being better because they seem to kind of have an identity and they know what they do and they play into that identity really well. And they kind of play a goofy style of basketball that makes it harder to deal with them. But if you go up and down the roster, I think North Dakota was more talented.
So last night in Lincoln, as I mentioned, unfortunately, that game was over from the jump when it's 11-0, and Omaha takes a while to score, and it was a struggle to get anything going offensively, because length again bothered Omaha, which not a surprise. The physicality, they're not as physical as KU is, but that's on the board when you're playing a Power 5 team. Is they're gonna bump you a little bit. Now, Omaha's roster is built better to handle that over the course of 40 minutes. Instead of imploding and not losing by 14, you lose by 40. But they don't have it across the board. But the biggest thing last night, the quick takeaway, wasn't CJ Wilcher, shooting the three and having confidence. And when he has confidence, man, he's a whole different player. And he scored 21, or the difference that Griesel makes as a point guard, where he can be against mid-major teams. He can be a tough matchup because you're not facing many guys that are 6'7", 6'8", that handle the ball as much as he does. But if they get anything out of Chieta, they're 6'11" junior college transfer, they could keep their head above water. Now, Omaha doesn't have a 6'11" shot blocker. They also don't have a 5 that goes and plays on the perimeter.
Yeah.
They essentially don't have a 5. They have kind of like between a 4 and a 5. And so against Maine, he hardly played because Maine had somebody that would draw him out, and he couldn't just stand in the paint and block the rim. So he didn't play very much, and he was a non-factor. Omaha doesn't have that, so he became a factor right away, and I thought that really got in the head of Omaha and altered a lot of things. But if they get anything out of him, I mean, it's an interesting roster where they essentially had, 5, 6 guys score last night. There's 75 points. Some guys that combined for good points off the bench, like Tominaga, I don't believe scored. He had 19 against Maine. He didn't score last night. They're an odd team that's going to have to fight it every night and work hard on both ends of the floor, and hope that a Wilcher gets hot and can shoot like that. Because if he does, the kid's got a ton of confidence, and it just bleeds over. But Nebraska is who they are. They also, last night, they were atrocious at the free throw line. They would have covered the spread if they were much better at the free throw line. They were 18 of 31. But now seeing Nebraska in person in their second game, they're who I thought they were. They're going to have to fight for it every night, especially in the Big Ten. They're going to need some things to go their way. But they do you can tell that they are more on the same page. Like, they run their offensive sets, and guys that need to cut when they're supposed to. They're not lazy. I think they're a better passing team. I just don't know that they have enough depth and they have enough scoring ability that if the game gets into the 70s and, for God willing, into the 80s, that they're going to be able to keep pace. But they're a better group, if that makes sense, in year 4. They don't have that. And I said this to a couple of people last night, is they don't have that like fan punching bag.
Yeah.
They don't have Cam Mack. They don't have Teddy Allen. Now, I like Teddy Allen. I've gotten to know him as a person. He was not a fit for playing in that program.
No, not at all.
But he was the scorn of all the fans. And then last year you had Verge, rightfully or wrongfully. They really don't have that guy this year. So when Fred says, "Hey, I think fans will like this team," I agree with him. They just have the same issues that they've had in the past. And of course, last night is the issue that has gone from Miles to Collier to basically across basketball, as you have those scoring droughts where you go from being up double figures to all of a sudden you look on the board and Omaha's within 6 and you're like, how is this happening? We're shooting 50% from the floor.
Yeah, I think they look like a more competent basketball team in general than they have at really any point under Hoiberg, which is a good step in the right direction. You probably would have liked to see it sooner in his tenure than we are right now, but they're going to have to rely on a lot of different guys to either get hot or to get them going offensively, because they don't have, I mean, you're not going to get 20 out of CJ Wilcher every night. You're probably not getting 18 out of Bandamel every night.
Juwan Gary didn't even score last night. He had double against Maine.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have a lot of those types of games where, okay, Tominaga has 15, the next night he has 2. Juwan Gary has 18, the next night he has 4. You know, you're probably going to have a lot of up and down, hot and cold nights from a lot of these guys because you don't have a, certified bucket on the team, really. And so you're going to have to kind of piecemeal this thing together offensively if you're Hoiberg. Now, as you said, the general makeup of the team, I think, is dramatically better. It's a much more functional basketball team than he's put out on the floor in years past. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that was pretty intentional. It's, again, probably would have liked to see something like this earlier in his tenure, but it'll be interesting to see how this particular team holds up in the Big Ten. This seems like a team that might be able to, if you catch a team on a bad night, steal some wins, whereas Nebraska teams in the last few years didn't really have the consistency to be able to bite a team when they weren't having a good night.
Bite your tongue. Do you remember Wisconsin and Ohio State on the road last year?
Sure. Yeah. That's fine.
The other thing last night, you know what? It didn't even dawn on me until a guy was sitting right next to me. So sitting courtside.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't even dawn on me. We talked about it numerous times that they serve beer in Pinnacle Bank Arena. I did not see a lot of people drinking last night.
Really?
Yeah. So on a Thursday night, you're not supposed to drink. Thursday night was a money night when I was in college.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little surprised by that. You would think the novelty of it still would keep people.
But you know what? It did not dawn on me until later in the game when the guy sitting next to me was like on his 4th Mick Ultra.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, you can drink at Pinnacle Bank Arena. I mean, I was waiting for people to start throwing, beer cans and stuff on the court and throw, beer and wine and whatever at these flopping calls that were called technicals on Breidenbach last night.
I was led to believe that was going to be an issue, that people were going to be throwing things onto the floor.
That's what Moose told us, that it would get just raucous.
Yeah, and apparently that wasn't the case.
No, it was pretty calm. Pretty calm. But we do have to talk about the new rule in college basketball that reared its ugly head last night. We asked the men in stripes, the men and women in stripes, to come up with a block charge call.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to ask them to come up with if it is a flop or not a flop, which I think is a great radio bit.
Flop or not a flop?
Flop or not a flop.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is a Class B technical this year. So it's one free throw. So last night, didn't happen in the first night against Kansas that I saw, really, any of the games that I've watched in the first couple of days, I didn't see it.
I haven't seen one yet.
So last night, Jaden Marshall, who's a scorer, he's going to be a really good player for Omaha. He's one of those guys, like if you're trying to gauge Omaha when they play KU or Nebraska or any Power 5 teams, how many guys on the floor look like they're Power 5 guys?
Mm-hmm.
And Omaha has a couple of those guys. Marshall is one of those guys. Markel Sutton is going to be a really good player. Frankie Fiddler can be one of those players, but Frankie, for the first time in his career, everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
And so he's at the top of the scouting report. So his ability and his space to catch and shoot is being limited because everybody knows what his game is. So I'm fascinated, and I have full confidence that Frankie Fiddler will adjust, whether it be against future Power Fives, which Omaha has 3 more left, or as he moves his way into the Summit League, is that he will adjust, and that will be the next level of his game. But right now, he's got a friend with him wherever he goes.
Right.
And so he can't just catch it and shoot it. And so it's all they make it difficult for Frankie to catch it. And he wasn't good last night. He was 1 for 8 from the floor. But I think this is a great step for him in his basketball development, because I can't wait to see what he'll do on Sunday against Idaho, which won't have the length that a KU or Nebraska has, and how that adjusts. Now, he made a hell of a play at the rim. I don't know if you've seen the highlight or heard about this. So he turns the basketball over, and he was fighting it last night. I think that was big for him to come into a building in which you won a state championship and light it up. And you could see right away, I can usually tell with Frankie that if he gets going right away, if he hits a couple of shots like all really good shooters, then it's going to be a good night.
Yeah.
But if you're off, you don't stop shooting, but then you get off again, and all of a sudden you're 0 for 4, and you're like, okay. And so you start making some adjustments. So he was fighting it last night, throws the ball away, and then it leads to a breakout. And Bandamil of Nebraska it looked like he was setting it up. He was just going to hammer it down. Place was going to go absolutely nuts in the second half. And Frankie did a great job. He timed it. And I thought in my head, as I'm trying to describe it, I'm like, no, you're going to end up on a poster. You're going to end up on a poster. And he went up and he blocked him above the rim.
Yeah.
And that was his highlight of the night, which was not good for Omaha because they need to highlight to be on the offensive end. But back to the flopping thing. So, again, we're asking men and women in stripes who have to come up with block or charge. Now, what is a flop? And so Jaden Marshall may have flopped on a 3 that he hit and he got fouled. Then they call Breidenbach, who got bumped and fell down, and they immediately called him for a flop. And I was like, which leads to 1 free throw. I think it's very much a work in progress. I think this is going to be a mess in college basketball, trying to get officials to determine if it's a flop, because it's not a warning where, you just do the hands,
Yeah.
It's a technical on
Automatically
the flop.
right away.
It's not, there is no more warning in college basketball. It's a flop. And I think this will turn into an absolute mess.
Yeah, it's going to be a problem because let's just be real honest about it. They usually bat about 50% on the block charges anyway, right? It's a really difficult call. I'm not saying anything, revolutionary there, but it's not a call that they get right a ton of the time anyway. They're normally very good on just about everything else, but because of the nature of the call, it's really difficult and they miss it a lot. And so to add an additional element into that situation, and not just that situation, as you mentioned, you can do it on, there's flopping on, trying to draw a foul on jumpers
How about
and things
a block?
like that.
How about when you're trying to take a charge?
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like most of these flop calls are gonna be on block charge calls, I think. Yeah. And you mentioned, okay, if a guy makes contact and you over exaggerate it, is that a flop? Is it only a flop if you go down before they actually make contact, which you see guys do sometimes? You're just dancing on a really fine line on a call that's already super difficult in block charges, that you're probably asking these people to do too much in terms of being able to see all of it at the same time. Are they in the restricted circle? Are they not in the restricted circle? If it's going to be a block because it's in the restricted circle, but then they flop, then it is an extra, you know what I mean? Like there's so many variables here on a call like that. It's pretty easy on jumpers and on the offensive player, right? If an offensive player flops, it's pretty obvious. But on the defensive situations, it's really, really difficult call. And I really don't know if you're a defensive player and somebody makes contact with you, and you mentioned the Breidenbach call. Like, I don't know how you can actually call a flop on that if the guy does make contact. Everybody sells things. Like, that's not a flop. That's just kind of part of the game. I don't know. That's going to be really, really tough, and I don't think it's going to go particularly well.
And that was the first time I saw it last night. So buckle up, everybody. Maybe the first national game on stage tonight, Gonzaga and Michigan State. We will get more of a discussion on the floppers.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm sure it's going to make for really fun basketball.
Hey, we do have good basketball, though. Thank you, college basketball. We've made it to day 5.
Yeah.
And we have good basketball. Gonzaga, Michigan State playing an aircraft carrier, and Stanford and Wisconsin playing a dome baseball stadium.
Let's do it. Why not?
We got lots for you on a Football Friday Fiesta. Brett Ciancia is going to actually join us a little bit earlier. He's coming up at 7 as we reach an important week in college football. TCU and Texas, kind of the headliner game amongst others. Will a playoff contender go down? Will it be TCU? Will it be LSU? Will it be Oregon, who has a Pac-12 after dark game against Washington? Brett will join us coming up at 7. Lee Sterling's got his picks for the weekend. Mike Sauter joins us. Now, tonight is the state semifinals for high school football. The weather is going to be Creighton prep-ish.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be cold.
Yeah.
You want to play defense. You don't want to throw the football. There are some very intriguing matchups, especially around this area. Will we have, at the end of the night, a rematch in the Class A final between Westside and Gretna? Will we have Westside going to their 4th straight Class A final, which is amazing? Or will we have, just get in the tournament, baby, get hot, Creighton Prep pull another upset and knock the defending champs out, and we get Prep and Westside again for what they played in 2014 against North, I believe?
I believe that's, they played in 14 against North. They haven't won one since 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DJ Rizak will remind you of that everywhere you go.
Little
proud West Side guy. Shout out DJ.
A little bit of a drought there for the Junior Jays.
Yeah, but they have found the formula to win this time of the year. North Platte, Elkhorn South. Can they slow down Zane Flores? They only lost 16-13 the first time they played him earlier in the year. That should be a great game tonight. So Mike Sauter will stop by coming up at 8:30. Mike Schaefer is in at 9. We'll get his thoughts on Nebraska and Michigan. The line is 30.5. The total is 48. So you can do the math. They don't expect Nebraska to score much, but they don't expect Michigan to run away.
Right.
So just a quick poll of the room here. I know you don't fancy yourself as a gambler. That's okay. Jimmy, I think, might be a gambler. Are we touching it? Are we touching 30.5? Either way for tomorrow.
Probably not. It's just too big of a number.
See, I thought 15.5 last week was big, and I said, I like them big.
Yeah.
So I touched Nebraska. But are we touching 30.5? Either way. Jimmy?
Not with a 10-foot pole, but I think Michigan does cover.
Yeah, I just don't have any confidence in Nebraska in this game, but it's still, like I've said this earlier in the week, you can get your butt whooped pretty good and only lose by 28. So I think Michigan is going to whoop up on them pretty good, but I don't feel good about that number.
I just don't know how Nebraska's going to score anything, especially with the quarterback situation. So I think Michigan can name its score.
Yeah, the thing that is staring me in the face is Indiana, they scored 35. Purdue, they scored 37. The other 4 opponents, have they averaged? I don't think they've averaged 2 touchdowns. So that kind of, Michigan's playing pretty good defense.
Yeah, they're not bad.
That gives me a little pause. But the total is kind of interesting. So the total is basically telling you you're like in the 42-7 type range.
Yes.
But gosh, if you're going to touch the game, doesn't it feel like a backdoor cover?
Feels like a backdoor cover. Honestly, if I touch that game at all, I'd probably take the over because I could see Michigan getting rolling a little bit the way they did against Rutgers and getting to 48 by themselves.
That's a lot to cover.
It's a lot to cover.
A lot to cover.
It is. That's a big number.
I mean, we're talking about like moral victories here if Nebraska can cover the spread.
Yeah, cover a 4-touchdown spread.
So Michigan, this is a 4 straight game. They've had a large spread. They're just 1-2 against the spread of 20 or more. I'm just putting that out there for all y'all.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that. They've been very disappointing this year.
Schaefer is coming up at 9, and then Matt Verzal stops by in the 9 o'clock hour as well. That is the lineup brought to you by the rooferys of John Higgins Weather Guard. So we're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk some football. Yay or nay? We talk how much time do we spend on the NFL abomination last night?
0.
You want to go 0?
Go 0.
Ooh.
I forgot it was on until 9 o'clock.
The Texas Longhorn fans and Dante Freeman are going to be upset at you, Robbie. They would like some Freeman talk.
I think I don't know that that's a huge demographic for us.
Texas fans? We used to have, he hasn't tweeted at the show in a long time. We used to have a diehard Texas fan that lived in Austin, but he was also a Husker fan.
Yeah.
So he'd listen to the show, and he would tweet us a lot, and he became a Husker fan because of the Big 12.
Oh, sure.
But he lives in Austin. He's a diehard Texas fan.
You don't get a lot of those. You don't get a lot of Texas-Nebraska dual fans.
That's a weird combination.
Yeah, it is.
People think a Creighton basketball fan and a Nebraska football fan might be weird. The Texas football fan and the Husker football fan are really odd. I don't know how he was feeling in 09.
That's a very small overlap, I think.
That would be such an odd feeling in 2009 watching that game.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, I imagine if you're in Austin, you're probably a Texas lean there, but if you like Nebraska at all, you probably are like, that doesn't feel great.
Never asked him if he had the jersey that had Texca.
The little split jersey.
Yeah.
Gotta say, not a fan of those. I think those are dumb.
That is Ravi. He's happy on a Friday.
I'm always happy.
How'd the show go last night?
It was good.
They make you work. They do too much on that pregame show. They got you doing like 90 minutes for North Dakota.
Yeah, I spent.
For God's sake, people, it's a Fighting Hawks basketball. This isn't hard.
I'll be honest. I spent about 20 minutes doing a preview of the women's game too, because they were playing last night and they were really good. So I decided, I was like, you know what? I got 90 minutes. I'm gonna spend some time on Coach Flan's squad.
Shout out Coach Flan. In college basketball, in the first 4 days, Creighton women may have the two most impressive victories: to win at South Dakota State and then to have to stay up in South Dakota. Hopefully they stayed in Sioux Falls. They didn't stay in Brookings because it's very limited there in hotels. So they stayed in Sioux Falls probably, and then they went to Vermilion. And to win at South Dakota State and at South Dakota like they did, it'd be tough to find two more impressive wins, men or women, in the first 4 days of the season.
Well, and
so shout out to Creighton.
They put it on South Dakota last night after falling behind early. They really kind of dominated that game.
And now Nebraska and Creighton play Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday. It's
monster game.
Creighton's only home game for about a month.
Yeah, it's bad scheduling. Come on, Flan.
I gave him a hard time about it. He's like, yeah, it's my fault. I do the schedule. He's like, it's also a little bit the Big East fault because they gave him like 2 straight road games to open the season. And then I was like, yeah, who did the at Stanford right before you play Connecticut? He's like, yeah, that was me. Stanford wanted to play, and I was like, you know what? Let's go to California.
Hey, you play what's in front of you, and they're 2-0. So we'll talk basketball. We'll talk a lot of stuff going on. We'll talk coaching search as well because it's day 60. But of everything we talk about, and all the fun we have today, and we entertain you and we engage you, just remember that the most important thing that we'll talk about today, and should be not only just this day, but the other 364, it is Veterans Day. So say thank you to all the men and women that have committed to this country, that have served, and we thank you for your honor. I have both my grandpas and my father were in the military. My grandpa's fought in a war. I've had uncles that were in the Vietnam War. One is still in the military. So thank you to everybody out there. And if you have somebody in your family, you know how much it means to them, not just this day, but the fact that they represented their country. So on behalf of all of us, we say thank you. You have anybody, a veteran in your family?
Yeah. So my late grandfather was in the Navy. He served in the Korean War, and one of my most prized possessions, and there's nobody famous on here, but he had a baseball from the ship he was on, and all of his shipmates signed the baseball. It's in my little memorabilia collection or whatever. I mean, it's at this point, it's a 70-year-old baseball. And he did serve. So I'm a little disappointed. He did serve later on, I think briefly with Stan Musial. And so I didn't get that baseball, but it was really cool. One of my favorite things he ever gave me was this baseball with all of his shipmates and crewmates that he served in Korea in the Pacific. So yeah, my grandfather, and then my father-in-law also was a career military man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Korean War POW, and he was a badass, and he was my hero. And he's been gone a couple years now in December, and not a day goes by that I miss him, because I joked he was the curmudgeon that I aspire to be as I get older. So
that's awesome, Jimmy.
But his generation, that's how it was. It was meat and potatoes, and it is how it is. And every time I would see the politics commercials, and he would say, they're all full of, and he's right. So it was always funny because he just said what was on his mind. But the thing that I think about him is he was a POW for 2.5 years, and they all thought he was dead, and including his family. And then he got out. But the thing that always fascinated me about it is he didn't want to talk about it. They wanted to write a book. Apparently, they reached out to him about maybe doing some sort of film or something. Wanted nothing to do with it. Didn't matter how much they offered him. It was that horrific what he went through. And he told me a little bit. And so whenever he would actually open up about that, you shut up, you sit down, and you listen. Don't even ask questions, just listen. And he would start going, and then it would stop, and we're done. Don't pry, don't ask, understand there's a reason why he stopped. So I always wondered what more there was to that. But then also, it's like, do you really want to know? And he went on and lived a very successful life, lived to be 90 years old. And, it's, I would see he would get together with his old buddies when they just had this bond. And when I was little, I would watch them, and more I got older, I understood a little more, but yeah. And then like Robbie had a lot of great uncles who served in Vietnam and whatnot, but he was the rock. He was at the head
That's
of the
cool.
table.
That's awesome. So happy Veterans Day to everybody out there, and thank you to everything you have done and everything you continue to do, and all the men and women that are currently serving in the military. 6:38, good show for you on a Football Friday Fiesta. You're always welcome to hop into the conversation, or like Jimmy and Ravi and myself, share stories of family members, our fathers, uncles, brothers, sisters, moms, grandmas that have served in the military. Because let's tell stories on Veterans Day, because we don't tell enough of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, I love this day. This is a day that I'm 100% about, always have been.
951-1620. You can always email us into the Equitable Bank inbox, where they take banking personally. Gary at 1620thezone.com, or I think Twitter is still going, right?
Yeah, today it is, at least.
Wild, wild west out there.
We'll see. We'll see if it's still on by the end of the show.
A guy that spent that much money and didn't understand the whole economic thing of the old Twitter machine.
Yeah, no, my favorite part is that like banks loaned him money to buy it. And it's like, yeah, we have no idea how he's going to pay it back. It's fine. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It would be unfortunate if Twitter fell apart, as people tell me to go to Mastodon. I'm looking into what Mastodon is. For the sports community,
Twitter's a pretty big,
yeah,
it's pretty
Twitter,
important.
look at how many people you've met like about sports on Twitter. Whether you blocked them, you muted them, but I've gotten to know people just strictly through Twitter.
Yeah.
Like in the sports world, and all the discussions that we have that would be a huge shame if Twitter just disappeared for all of us in the sports community and sports in general.
Yeah. Well, sports and I mean news. A lot of people get their main source of news is from Twitter. It's been a very useful tool, but apparently not as profitable as maybe some people who made recent purchases would think.
I'm all about the Twitter meltdowns, or whenever there's a big upset going and everyone's kind of joining in. Like, for example, if somehow Nebraska were to be in it with Michigan and suddenly you're just scrolling Twitter, it's like, this is highly entertaining. Because at that point, the whole country's joining in and rooting.
Or it would be okay if things get sideways tomorrow in Ann Arbor. That's when Twitter ends.
Twitter shuts it down. It's like Nebraska's down 35-0 at halftime. Oh no, Twitter's broken. Oh, terrible.
Then what happens to the person that doesn't watch games, but they just read Twitter?
Yeah,
They
right.
have no idher what happened.
You're like, I guess nothing happened today.
My God, I'm going to have to buy a newspaper. I'm going to have to go on a website.
It's maybe this is Elon's long game. He's a big newspaper guy. He's trying to shut down the internet.
But as long as Twitter is around, we'll yap at you there on the J-Tech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620 at R.A. Lula. We're off and running. Robbie, Jimmy, and Gary on a Friday on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Cheetos becoming aware and starting World War III.
That'd be a bummer because then we couldn't eat them anymore.
The most delicious war.
But that would be the thing.
You
to
can still
defeat
eat them.
you eat them.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Cheetos do whatever
You would have to get past the moral implications of eating a sentient Cheeto.
That's true, because imagine you start eating them and they start screaming.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A frigid start to Friday with wind chills in the single digits. We'll see lots of sunshine throughout the day, but remaining cold and breezy with northwest winds gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. Highs in the low 30s with feels-like temperatures remaining in the teens and lower 20s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
1620 The Zone. traffic.
From the Burn AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. L Street eastbound around 90th is seeing a heavy amount of traffic. 370 eastbound from about 144th to 84th is seeing a good amount of congestion. 680, 80, and JFK are all free and clear right now. And Dodge Street looks like nothing but green lights. My name's Conrad. That's been your morning traffic.
This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Lanahan Nurseries.
Cool air temperatures mixed with warm soil temperatures means it's time to plant. Visit Lanaha's Garden Center for the Metro's largest selection of homegrown trees and plants. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahan Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
There are actually two kinds of cigars. The first is the one you smoke with beloved family and friends. The second, the one you enjoy with friends you've just met. And you'll find both at Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge. At Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, there's a well-stocked humidor with some of the best bands from around the world and a bar with your favorite cocktails and other drinkables. So what do you say? Which cigar will you be enjoying tonight? Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's.
Thank you to everyone who voted for MD West One in the Best of Omaha contest. We are thrilled to announce MD West One has been named the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for 4 years in a row. MD West One is also named first place in the orthopedic surgery and neurosurgical spine surgery. Our 34 board certified surgeons specialize in treating every bone, joint, or muscle condition from head to toe. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the #1 place to go for orthopedic, neurosurgery, and spine.
Sunday morning is all about church, eggs, and the Sunday paper. But right next to church, it's made for hot takes and reactions. Severe Reactions. Michael Severe is back on 1620 The Zone with Severe Reaction. Sundays 8 to 10 and doesn't hold back on what went right and what went wrong on Saturday. He'll also take calls from the most important voice of all, yours. Severe Reaction. Sundays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Only on 1620 The Zone.
Want to do something nice for a veteran? Stop by any 42 Degree location and receive an extra discount with your donation of can or box food and hygiene products for the Veterans Food Pantry of Omaha. 42 Degrees by your mom's house.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want? I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for weddings, holidays, birthdays, or for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/drinks. That's BARTESIAN.com/drinks for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/drinks.
The post-workout glow at Planet Fitness doesn't just feel great. It feels 80s pump-up jam great.
Because when you got the glow, there is no stopping what you want to do.
And now when you become a PF Black Card member, your glow can be even greater with a free Amazon Halo fitness tracker.
Get the glow.
Get the PF Black Card for zero enrollment and just $24.99 a month. Bring a friend, enjoy massage chairs, and get a free Amazon Halo View. Deal ends November 15th. Subject to taxes, fees, and commitment. See club for details.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is to Cops. Receive 2 $25 gift vouchers for just $25. Cops makes delicious pizza, fresh salads, tasty charred wings, sandwiches, pastas, and steaks. For the basic menu, click copspizza.com. For the extended menu, visit them at Shadow Lake Town Center or 180th and Center.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. 1620 The Zone.
So in the sports world, ahead of another busy sports weekend, as we welcome back into 1620 The Zone in the mornings, I'm Gary. There's Robbie, Jimmy here as well. We're all kind of watching Twitter burn, and the idea that Elon Musk is going to be bankruptcy and he's going to shut down Twitter. I actually think he's playing a game with employees that he wants them to quit so they have to pay him severance.
Yeah.
I mean, he's trying to save money. It's wild that's happened in the last week, but probably not surprising. We have people that are buying check marks, that are throwing out all kinds of stuff, fake stuff.
Yeah.
And people, and unfortunately, it's on your own. You're falling for it. And people are getting fooled, and they're retweeting and they're commenting on stuff that does not exist. But from the sports standpoint, if Twitter, you don't like the current direction, you don't like trolls, you don't like the fact that it may not be there.
Yeah, they might go away.
And you haven't publicly declared that I've quit Twitter. Like, from the sports standpoint, that's a loss.
Mm-hmm.
But could the three of us, and I know we've got big money people that are listening to the show right now, could we put together a sports-only Twitter app?
Ooh, that's an interesting idea.
Okay, we'd have to come up with an obscure name, because like the alternates for Twitter right now are like Mastodon, Gab, and Amino. So we couldn't come up with a normal name.
No, it's got to be a little off the wall.
But if it was just a sports app, a conversational sports app, i.e. Twitter, there was no politics. It was just about the games and the reaction to games and breaking stories and all of that kind of stuff. How popular would that be?
I think there's definitely a market for it.
That could be your outlet. That's your entertainment. You can play in the sports world.
Yeah, just play in the little sports sandbox.
And then once you turn it off, you go back to the real world.
Yeah, you can go back to wherever else, Facebook, to listen to your crazy uncle rant about whatever. No, I mean, I think there's probably a market there for that. You'd have to have a large monitoring department to keep people from talking about anything else. So that would be kind of an issue, is monitoring the content to make sure it stayed sports only. But I think there is a large group of people that would probably sign up for that, because that's all they use. A lot of people, that's all they use Twitter for, or at least all they want Twitter for. And then they have other things kind of seep into their timeline and they get annoyed by it. But, let's make some calls. Maybe maybe we got some investors listening. We'll come up with a name off air.
Or maybe you just make it team university centric. I mean, we know how Husker Twitter burns.
That's true. It does.
You have a standalone Husker Twitter app.
I mean, we're probably getting a little more niche there. We're probably not getting as many investors if we make it Huskers only.
I never know.
But
You never know. We got news that's going to be down the road. I mean, today is 60 days since Scott Frost was fired.
It has been 60 days.
We have reached 60 days of the coaching search.
It's been a long 60 days. I feel like I've changed as a human being in the last 60 days.
I did not see Trev last night. Now, that's not to say he wasn't there. He might have been upstairs, but I did not see him.
He was off hiring a coach. Probably interviewing candidates,
I think it'd be tough. Like when he went to the volleyball match recently.
Yeah.
And he likes sitting next to the bench. If there was that John Cook of the college football world out there, Trev would have already hired him. Like we kind of said, man, Chris Peterson kind of has John Cook qualities. But Trev likes to be around Nebraska volleyball. He's unlike a former athletic director who didn't really pay much attention to Nebraska volleyball.
Or that many Nebraska sports in general.
But people like, whenever Trev's out in public, they're watching everything he does, especially right now. Okay. When he gets on his phone, he gets a text. What's that mean? Then what does he smile? Does he do something? So the meme that was shared that he was looking at his phone.
Yeah.
So I'm sure like now he doesn't really go out in public because people like either going to ask him.
Yeah. Anytime he looks at his phone,
or they're like,
is that the coach?
Oh my God.
Is that our new coach?
He just got a text message. What if he has to leave?
Is that Matt Rule? If he ever leaves anywhere like he's just going to the bathroom, but if he gets up somewhere to go abruptly, it's like, is he going to hire the new coach? What's happening?
Should I follow him? Do we need to go to the airport? Do we have to have dispatch out to TAC Air? What's Duncan Aviation?
He's just going to buy a pretzel and a cheese.
Where's the tracker? We need the tracker.
See, that would be great for the cesspool that become Husker Twitter. I mean, it would just be in full meltdown mode.
We could just call it Herbie. Copyright.
Can you do that during the break? Can you copyright that, please?
6:51 a.m. We're copywriting Herbie.
But for sports, if we lost a thing like Twitter, I'd be bummed.
No, it would.
I met a lot of people through Twitter. I mean, we've had fights, but then there are people that come up to you in public and go, "Hey, they give you your Twitter handle instead of saying, "Hey, my name's Steve. I'm
Amazing Daniel.
I'm 946184. That's me. I tweet at you all the time.
I'm user 128497.
And I'm like, can you just like make a picture with your avatar? Can you change your screen name?
Yeah, I met him. I met the Amazing Daniel the other day.
Yeah, you never met him before?
No, I hadn't. I went out to one of.
He's such a great guy. Him and his wife, and they're loyal listeners.
Yeah.
But there's somebody like when you meet him.
Yeah.
And you know how he tweets.
Yeah.
You're like, yep, that's the guy.
Nailed it.
He is an absolute real grade A dude.
Yeah, it was at one of the unsportsmanlike conduct remotes. I went out to go have a beer with him, and yeah, Amazing Daniel was there. It was nice to meet him.
So we would lose that with Twitter. We would lose my DMs being open to hear from everybody from Scottsbluff.
You're a brave man.
The good and the bad, by the way. And there's I apologize. I know people are listening. I guess our segment the other day is huge out in Western Nebraska. And not people are crushing us. They're like, hey, this elicited a discussion. There's some things I'd like to add. This is what I'm hearing. I've been backed up. I haven't been able to get back to everybody, but I do appreciate everybody sliding into my DMs. Okay, I know way too much now about the Scottsbluff football program. I wish them luck tonight against Omaha Gross. We'll talk about that coming up at 8:30 with Mike Sauter. But you would lose that aspect of people sliding in your DMs. Look at how many people have met their significant other on Twitter.
I don't. How many people have met? Is that a
no?
big
It
thing?
is a thing. It is a thing. It's you don't like people say. Well, you got to get an app. You got to go with Match.com, eHarmony,
Tinder, Hinge, Bumble.
So are like Match and eHarmony like out?
Those are like more old school ones.
Okay, like for older people, or
I think you get a larger array, but they're not you're probably not getting anyone probably not under 30, and probably most of them are 35 to 40 and up, if I had to guess.
I missed out on the Tinder game. I've never been a free agent when Tinder was big.
That was honestly my favorite part about getting divorced was having a
wow. Did you tell that to your lawyer?
No.
Did you tell that to your ex?
No, we don't. Believe it or not, we don't speak a lot. But I was, I got married pretty young in the pre-Tinder era, and as Tinder became a thing, I was like, that might have been kind of fun. And then I got divorced, and I was like, you know what? It is pretty fun. I actually met my second wife on Tinder.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good then.
See, we're a success story.
I've heard stories of people that meet like on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like they slide into their DMs.
I've heard more on Instagram. Instagram sliding in the DMs is a big deal. Yeah.
There's a current football player at Nebraska. And I only know this because he is now, and he's a good dude. He's dating a business acquaintance of mine, daughter, down in Lincoln.
Oh, nice.
And so he slid into her DMs, wasn't creepy, and just said, hey, would you like to go out? And they've now been dating for like 4 or 5 months.
Nice.
Yeah. So no love connection, to the altar yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could happen. So we'd miss that.
Twitter success stories.
Share them. Adrian says, I think the new sports only Twitter should be called the Sportle of Sportle.
Maybe a little wordy.
The Rev says, Jimmy just named our app Pretzel.
I like it, Pretzel.
Oh, there we go.
People are like, curious. What is Pretzel?
Pretzel.
Well, we're going to tie you into a knot with our sports discussions on
with
Sports
our
Only Twitter.
Hot takes.
All right, Brett Ciancia is coming up here in a little bit, ahead of another important weekend of college football. We will discuss more on Nebraska and Michigan. Blake Corum, a win for the Nebraska defense would be what in terms of yardage for Blake Corum, who averages 139. Remember, this is a Michigan team that carries the ball at least 44 times a game. They bulldoze you, they squeeze you, they wear you down. A win for Nebraska defense with Corum's rushing total tomorrow.
Corum's total or Michigan's total?
Corum's total.
Okay, because those are different questions.
Yeah, because Michigan could run for 418 like they did against Penn State, but Corum only runs for. Think about that.
I mean,
is there a win out there for the Nebraska defense in terms of what Corum runs for? Because I think tomorrow is a day that they will try and enhance his Heisman campaign. I mean, I think they're going to go for style points. And and RG3, who loves Blake Corum, you're going to be like, mute.
And this is why they'll cover.
Mute. Brett's coming up after the top of the hour on 1620 The Zone.
The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
Buy your next vehicle your way from anywhere with Woodhouse. Start your journey online at woodhouse.com. Easily shop all new and pre-owned inventory, explore payment options, and apply for financing. Ready to purchase? Schedule your new vehicle for pickup from the dealership or have it delivered to your driveway. Need a little extra help in determining your perfect vehicle? Our knowledgeable and local dealerships can guide you to the vehicle that best matches your needs. Experience car buying your way with Woodhouse, a trusted auto partner since 1975.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Severe from Severe Reaction to tell you about Rotella's Italian Bakery. There are a couple of constant things that happen at my house. One is, of course, the kids running around and driving me crazy, but more than anything else, us having Rotella's Bakery in the bread box. It's there, and you especially need it now because of the holidays. There's so much that Rotella's is crazy for. Think about it. Tailgate parties, everything you need for any kind of sandwich, and it's 100 years of tradition on top of that. And one of the great things about me working in Papillion now is that occasionally I can drive by 108th and Harrison, and you know what I smell? Rotella's Italian Bakery bread in the nostrils. It is amazing over that area. So make sure you swing by and stop at the bakery at 108th and Harrison and get your bread right there. We're talking hot dog buns, hamburger buns, we're talking wheat, all different types of breads galore for your tailgating parties and for the holiday. Stop right now. Get you some bread. It's Rotella's Italian Bakery bread for over 100 years. It's a tradition in my house.
Get ready for the Genesis Health Club's grand opening at 84th and Q Street this Saturday, November 12th. Special classes, prizes, food, a bounce house, and fun games for the kids. Plus, no enrollment on month-to-month memberships and a chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card. One day only this Saturday at the 84th and Q Street Genesis Health Club's location in Omaha. Construction is finished and fitness has reached a whole new level in Omaha with top-of-the-line equipment, tons of fun, motivating classes, including strength, Zumba and cycle, basketball, indoor track, luxury locker rooms with fluffy towel service, plus indoor and outdoor swimming pools. Relax afterwards in a hot tub, dry saunas, and steam rooms, or get a massage from one of our professionals in the luxury spa. Come celebrate with Genesis. You're invited to the grand opening of the completely remodeled 84th and Q Street location this Saturday. One day only. No enrollment on month-to-month memberships. Plus, your chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card. Come see us at the 84th and Q Street Genesis Health Club location this Saturday. RSVP at genesishealthclubs.com.
If you're like most Americans, you can see things are out of control. Global problems have local consequences, too many of them. And if the next news headline spins us into chaos, you better be ready. Grocery store supply chains are only as strong as their weakest link. Don't wait for them to break. Today's the day to secure emergency food for everyone in your family. My Patriot Supply is America's largest preparedness company. Our specially packaged and delicious food stays fresh for up to 25 years in storage. It'll be there when you need it. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and pick up several emergency food kits. There are a dozen different sizes that average over 2,000 calories per day. As we all know, calories equals energy equals survival. And as you'd expect from a true preparedness company, our food kits are in stock and ship quickly. Those who know what's coming are preparing today. Go to mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
This weekend, Omaha Maverick men's and women's basketball open their season at home. With the women taking on Wichita State Saturday at 2:05, and the men start a new era under Coach Chris Crutchfield Sunday at 2:05 versus Idaho. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now at the Baxter Arena box office by calling 402-554-6200 or at omavs.com/tics.
Email us on the Equitable Bank inbox with whatever's on your mind. Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. You can get me, Gary, at 1620thezone.com. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone Inbox.
Listen to Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay Overtime, the Creighton men's basketball postgame show on 1620 The Zone. Live from DJ's Dugout downtown. It's right after every home game, presented by Barry Law. Exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, This is 1620 The Zone. The Zone Hotline is powered by Los Hills Harley-Davidson, your home in the hills. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burn AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. L Street eastbound around 90th is seeing a heavy amount of traffic. 370 eastbound from about 144th to 84th is seeing a good amount of congestion. 680, 80, and JFK are all free and clear right now. And Dodge Street looks like nothing but green lights. My name's Conrad. That's been your morning traffic.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
Looking for a career, not a job? IBEW has immediate openings for residential electricians. You'll receive top pay, fully funded family health care, and retirement benefits. Invest in yourself with IBEW Local 22. Call Michael at 402-810-0789.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, weakness or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issues stemming from your neck or back. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
Open wide. Let me see that smile.
There's a back-to-school braces boom at Doc Kelly's office.
Can you hold on for a sec? Can someone bring me more brackets?
She needs to realign her staffing plan with more registered dental assistants.
Can you reorder the rubber bands in red?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The post-workout glow at Planet Fitness doesn't just feel great. It feels 80s pump-up jam great.
Cause when you got the glow, that is no stopping what you want to do. Oh.
And now when you become a PF Black Card member, your glow can be even greater with a free Amazon Halo fitness tracker.
Get the glow. Oh.
Get the PF Black Card for zero enrollment and just $24.99 a month. Bring a friend, enjoy massage chairs, and get a free Amazon Halo View. Deal ends November 15th. Subject to taxes, fees, and commitments. See club for details.
Hi, everybody. Gary Sharp, voice of Omaha men's basketball. The Mavs are back home for the first time this season at Baxter Arena when they take on the Vandals of Idaho on Sunday afternoon. Tip-off is 2:05, airtime 1:30, right here on your home of Maverick basketball. News Talk 1290 Coil.
Dad, I don't feel good.
I'll grab the Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey.
Isn't DayQuil just for parents?
Actually, Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey is just for kids, specially designed to treat kids' most bothersome cold symptoms quickly with a honeylicious tasting flavor kids like.
You know what else kids like?
DayQuil Kids Honey first, then video games.
Deal.
Vicks DayQuil Kids Honey, the kids' honeylicious daytime coughing, congestion, stuffy head, stuffy nose medicine. Safe for ages 6+.
Imagine it's cold and frigid and your home's heater just quit. Sometimes the heating system is beyond repair and needs to be replaced. At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, our comfort specialists take the frustration out of the equation. We're experienced in everything from boilers to furnaces to heat pumps, ductwork, and all. So call 402-333-5000 for a free duct cleaning with every furnace installation.
Always on time, or you don't pay time.
Terms and conditions apply. Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
All right, we kick off the second hour. We kick off college football this weekend. We are inching closer. 2 weeks from this weekend is the big Ohio State-Michigan game. We are closing in on the end of the regular season, and there's some great matchup again this weekend. And it's a good time to turn to Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, before we dive into this week, let's rewind and go back to last week because it was crazy. Day of football and on into the night where you had simultaneously the LSU-Alabama game going on. You had the Kansas State-Texas finish going on. Give me your opinion, and they both have important games again this weekend. LSU and Alabama. LSU has to go to Arkansas. Alabama has to take on Ole Miss, so they face another ranked team. But what did you learn about either one of those teams from that wild finish and Brian Kelly going for 2 and LSU getting the win on Saturday night?
Yeah, well, unbelievable day of football, and especially that nightcap, like you talked about, the Clemson LSU, the Clemson Notre Dame, the LSU game, even Auburn Mississippi State was crazy. Out here in Pennsylvania, we were looking at the Phillies trying to survive in Game 6. That didn't work, but the TVs were crowded. I had all 5 going. It was crazy. From Alabama and LSU, with LSU, I learned how quickly Brian Kelly turned that thing around. I mean, a couple of years ago, that defense was one of the worst in the country, coming off that championship team. And overnight, this is now a SEC title contender. So credit LSU. What we learned about Alabama is, they have some breakdowns. It's not the usual perfect team. I mean, secondary was giving up a lot of plays. They couldn't contain Jake Daniels. They haven't really established a run game like they used to. It's kind of weird to think of a Nick Saban team. But, now you have Alabama with 2 losses in the regular season, first time in over a decade. So they're in uncharted waters right now.
Brett, with Alabama, I know a lot of people have been quick to pile on and be like, oh, the dynasty's finally over, things like that. But it does seem like there are more cracks in this Alabama team than we've seen. You mentioned the first time they've had 2 losses in the regular season in a decade. What are you seeing from them that might lead you to believe either, hey, this is probably a one-off, or maybe we are starting to see some cracks in the foundation?
Yeah, well, a couple things. I mean, the game is changing so quickly, and that's what really has separated Nick Saban at the top, is that he has been able to adapt with the game. I mean, first it was how the offenses were modernizing, and he was a little bit stubborn at first, but then he modernized too. Brought in Lane Kiffin, and they've always had a top offense since 2015. What else? I mean, the coaching staff requirements. He broke through in that new rule and brought all these analysts on, and it's like a super staff over there. The recruiting game. I mean, every single part of this. The sport's evolving. He's been on the front edge of it. But now here we are in the next wave where it's NIL. These players have maybe a little bit different mindset than they did a generation ago. So having to do with all of that. I don't know if that's the reason exactly right now why they have 2 losses, but just a trend happening in the background that he's got to adjust to. This year, I said, adjusting to the, they don't have as strong a run game as they used to. Either that's play calling or that's personnel up front. The secondary is giving up a lot of long yardage plays. That's another issue. There's definitely cracks more than usual. And I think the competition in the SEC is continuing to get stronger. Georgia, a superpower program now. LSU is right there. The Mississippi team. So, it's just a tough landscape.
Hey, so as we try and figure out LSU, help me figure out Arkansas. I know we've all talked about Sam Pittman and what he's doing at Arkansas, but they're coming off a befuddling loss. I don't care if Hugh Freeze is really a good football coach, and their win over Arkansas with Liberty beating them the other day, where the box score is absolutely sideways for a loss. But this game now, it's an early kickoff. Arkansas needs a win to get bowl eligible. Walk us through how you think LSU bounces back from the emotion of winning against Alabama and all week long people talking about them, and all of a sudden LSU could win the West and get to Atlanta and maybe get into the playoff. How do you think they handle tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that's the key. Where normally if they were to beat Alabama and that was it, and there was nothing else on the line, maybe see a trap game. But the fact that they did that, and then now they still have an SEC West on the line, I think they're going to be refocused. They're going to be ready to roll. Again, credit Brian Kelly. After that first game, and after his fake Southern accent and all this heat on him in the first couple of weeks there, it felt like it wasn't going to go the right direction. But credit him for getting it righted, and they're playing some good football. With this one, Arkansas is all offense right now. It's a great passing attack with KJ Jefferson, the big, 6'4", 250-pound quarterback, a big run game. Rocket Sanders leading the SEC. So it's all offense. Their defense has a ton of breakdown. They give up long yardage plays more than anybody in the SEC. Just per play, it struggles. So I think LSU is going to get their points. Maybe a little high scoring, but I have LSU winning there.
Brett, I wanted to ask a little bit bigger picture college football playoff question here. Outside of the top 4 teams, who in that next group has the clearest path to getting their way into the college football playoff?
Well, I'm looking at these Pac-12 teams, and it's really a trio of contenders right now with Oregon, USC, and UCLA. And when I parse through it, I kind of find myself going with UCLA. I know that they're 12th in the initial rankings here, way lower than USC and Oregon, but I like what they have on both sides of the ball. They're more balanced. I trust DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the quarterback. It's a veteran roster. And then when you look at resumes so far, I think that Oregon loss to Georgia, that 46-pointer, is going to block them. Maybe not just at face value, but when you're comparing to Tennessee, another one-loss team that might be in discussion, they only lost by 14. The yardage, the per play was all a lot closer than it was in that Oregon blowout. So I find Oregon with a blowout loss there might be out. USC right now is sitting with no ranked wins. They have the easiest schedule out of the three. So I think if you're looking for a contender, I'd pick UCLA right now out of the Pac-12 to maybe surprise and get a rematch with Oregon and beat them.
So next week is a huge week in the Pac-12, but will it matter anything? Sticking with Robbie's question to you, Brett, about Oregon, there are going to be a ton of points scored between Oregon and Washington. But is Washington good enough to pull an upset on the road?
Yeah, I don't think they're quite there yet with Washington. I've been impressed with Kalen DeBoer, and I think if you're a Nebraska fan listening, you see how quickly a new head coach can come in and turn it around on one side of the ball. The offense, the last handful of years at Washington, has been one of the worst in the country. They were really defense first, defense only, and DeBoer comes in, they're throwing it all over the yard. They got his transfer quarterback in, and overnight they're a great offense. But I trust Oregon more. Their offensive line is one of the best in the country, both in run push and in pass protection. Pretty complete team, more 5-stars all over the place. So I'm going to take Oregon here, but I am impressed with Washington's turnaround.
All right, Brett, I'm going to ask you a little bit of a homer question here because in addition to obviously rooting for and covering Nebraska, I do like Florida State as well. They kind of had a tough stretch in the middle of the season there where they lost those 3 games. But overall, when you see the trajectory of what's been happening under Mike Norvell, what do they do well that you think is a sustainable measure of success?
Yeah, well, this is a team. I'm glad you brought them up because they're really flying under the radar. I think they're the best 3-loss team in the country. And if you follow on Twitter at Pick Six Previews, you'll see I put out my stat graphics for each week. All my metrics and all my per play percentiles. It sounds a little boring, but you see all the teams listed there. And Florida State is at the top of almost every category. It's crazy. They're top 10 in everything. So what makes them special? They're hitting on explosive plays this year. Their offensive line has become a strength. That's been a weakness for a long time at Florida State. And credit Alex Atkins, the offensive line coach, now turned coordinator, really revamping that O-line. So they do it in all ways. Explosive plays in the pass game. The receivers go up and win the balls, one-on-one balls, strong run game. Defensive line, Jared Verse is an All-American candidate. It's just a solid team. And I wish that they could play Wake Forest again right now. I think they beat them. I wish that they had a couple of these games now in November. I think they'd win. So peaking in November here, I wish they had some of those mulligans back. It's a better team than 6-3.
Hey, our Friday friend, Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews joining us. And if you're not already, and I know a lot of you have, follow Brett and the crew at Pick Six Previews. Let's slide into the Big Ten. You want to help us out here, and you can further that Nebraska might be having a bad year, Brett, record-wise, but they have an effect on teams because only Rutgers and North Dakota have won the following week after they've played Nebraska. So Minnesota's going to be in trouble against beat Nebraska. Then they lost to Michigan State, who we thought was turning into a dumpster fire. Now Illinois still has a chance to win the Big Ten West. They play host to Purdue. We saw last week that weather really played a factor. The winds blowing, whether it be Purdue and Iowa or Ohio State and Northwestern. Walk us through how you see, as we all thought before the year, a huge Big Ten West showdown in Champaign tomorrow between Purdue and Illinois.
Yeah, we all had that circled as the Big Ten West title game, right? It's crazy. Projected as, I think, the 5th and 6th in the division. They're calling it the Husker Hex right now. Usually you think of the Armed Service, the Armed Forces Academy, teams that grind down opponents for the next week with their cup blocking and triple option. But maybe it's this Husker Hex that's really the lasting impact. But, with Illinois and Purdue, I think you have Illinois is a very strong team, more of a traditional Big Ten West team with a power run game, Chase Brown leading the conference. A stout defense. They actually have the best pass defense by quarterback rating in the last 10 years in FBS. So we'll see if that holds against a pass-heavy Purdue team. They're kind of the opposite here, where they're pass-heavy. They're going to try and hit long vertical shots. They're going to grind you with short stream passes. It's going to be all through the air for Purdue. So ultimately, I pick Illinois here. I think they're the most complete team in the division, and my projected favorite right now to win the West, as crazy as it sounds. But excellent coaching job on both sides of the ball over there.
Brett, another Big Ten West matchup that we probably thought would have been a bigger deal before the season. Wisconsin and Iowa face off on Saturday as well. Wisconsin has looked dramatically better, especially Graham Mertz and Braylon Allen, since Paul Christ has been relieved of his duties. What have you seen from them that might give an indication as to why they have looked so much different in the last few weeks?
Yeah, they're playing motivated football right now under Jim Leonard. You're seeing a guy probably campaigning for the head coaching job further than just the interim tag. So it's a motivated team. The players love him. He decided to stay here after the Packers came knocking. So he loves this place. On the field, yeah, Braylon Allen, taking off at running back. Graham Mertz is playing effective football. I think when you look at these two teams, they both have the stout defenses. Iowa definitely an edge on defense, but Wisconsin still top 20 caliber. I think the biggest difference is on offense. When you look at it per play, Wisconsin's still a top 25 offense, as crazy as it sounds. What they do is very effective. Iowa, not so much. They're in the bottom 10 in that category. So, and I think when you see Iowa challenged against a competent defense, they really fold on offense. So I think that the more balanced team is Wisconsin, and I'm going to take them here to win.
The best team in the Big Ten feels like who?
I'm still sticking with Ohio State. Because they have the best offense in the country still. I would have argued with Tennessee, but we saw what happened with Tennessee last Saturday. Best offense in the country. I really like their developments on defense under Jim Knowles. The Knowles effect is real. When you look at the impact he's had on Ohio State, it's one of the most improved defenses per play in 2022. But also look what he left behind at Oklahoma State. They're one of the biggest drop-offs from last year. They were top 5. They're bottom 5 right now. So Jim Knowles, incredible coaching job. There's 5 stars all over the defense. Tommy Eichenberg at linebacker, JTT at the end. He had a big game against Penn State. So I'm still taking Ohio State. Michigan has impressed, but they've had a lot easier schedule so far. I want to see them tested more, and that is going to be an epic game. It could end up being 1 versus 2 or 2 versus 3 in the big game, as they call it.
Brent, Ohio State's obviously been on the national college football playoff scene a little bit longer. Michigan just kind of reaching that stage last year. How big is the gap between Ohio State and Michigan in your mind?
Well, between the two of them, I don't think there's much gap at all. I think that Michigan really closed it last year. Credit Jim Harbaugh, credit Michigan for showing patience. I know that everyone nowadays wants to fire the coach every year, but they gave Harbaugh one last chance, and he revamped his coaching staff. He put a lot of the responsibility back onto the players, really built that culture. It sounds like buzzwords, but it's true here. He put in the Beat Ohio drill, a physicality drill, and it turned into a Beat Ohio drill for 4 quarters at Ohio State last year. So the gap is tight between the two. Bigger gap after those two. I think those two are way far ahead of everybody else. Large gap to get to the Penn State, Iowa, Wisconsin pack.
Brett Sianser from Pick Six Previews. Let's stop in the ACC, which is going to spend the year out of the playoff race with Clemson getting throttled by Notre Dame. At least I say that. You never know. Things could get chaotic. But quietly, Wake Forest and North Carolina are playing a pretty important game. How close, and I know you're a Heisman voter and you don't want to reveal a lot, but just your general thoughts. Does North Carolina have a quarterback that could get a seat in New York City?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think at this point in the season, I cast a wide net. I haven't canceled anybody out yet, and I don't look too much at the win-loss record. I want to evaluate everybody on the campus, so he's definitely on my radar. And it's funny that we talked Wisconsin, Iowa, and then the next game we talked UNC, Wake Forest. It's almost like it's 2 different sports. Yeah. I think Wisconsin could win 10-3. I think UNC or Wake Forest, the winner's going to have to score 50-plus in this one. It's going to be all offense, all vertical shots, explosive offense. And so if you're more in that sense for college football, you want to tune to this one. Wake Forest can score themselves. Sam Hartman operates that offense so well, but it's really UNC is the sneaky team right now. I feel like nobody's watched them, but strong offense. Drake May really taking over. Phil Longo, one of the best coordinators in the country. If they can just get some defense sprinkled in, they're a team.
Hey, well, on that note, sticking kind of in the ACC, but Notre Dame beating Clemson like they did Saturday night in South Bend. How would you assess, as we are in the final month of the regular season, Marcus Freeman's first year?
Yeah, well, I think it's important that you wait until the end of the year to evaluate a guy because after the first 3 weeks, I think all of South Bend and Irish Nation would have had him fired and then thrown out of South Bend. But he's stacking some big wins here. I mean, to have beaten UNC and Clemson both soundly, and Clemson really a blowout. It was 35-0 at one point. Really impressive. And it's a shame that they had those losses tagged on them against Marshall and Stanford, or else you'd be considering a playoff run if their only loss was that Ohio State game. But you can't do the what ifs. They have those losses. But I credit them for rallying. And I think this team, this program is, it's going to be an upward trajectory going forward. The recruiting's there, and I think they're settling in as a staff.
TCU, Texas 7-point favorite, big win at K-State, biggest win by Sarkisian and now they have a chance to ruin TCU's season. Gary Patterson's on the sidelines. Is it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the interesting thing. I think a lot of college football fans might overlook is that Gary Patterson, the longtime TCU head coach, guy who has a statue outside of their stadium, is now in burnt orange over there. The rival colors. He's coaching up Texas defense. And I don't want to overlook Pete Kwiatkowski, their D coordinator, but I think a lot of Texas's defensive improvements this year is because of Patterson. He's an excellent analyst. He knows these Big 12 offenses like the back of his hand. So he's a huge role in this thing. And, I'm still going to go with TCU. I really love Max Duggan. I've been defending Duggan for years. I mean, he's had the NFL draft writers all over him, and a lot of college football pundits were all over him. But I defended Duggan. Solid player, hard-nosed runner, good passer. And Quentin Johnston as a receiver is an all-American candidate. So I'm taking Texas here in a close one. I think the wrong team's favored, despite it being in Austin. I think TCU should be favored.
All right. Any other game that's on your radar that we have not discussed that's not going to be on other people's radars that's going to get one of your screens tomorrow?
Yeah, well, a couple. I mean, we could do a whole segment on this, but Georgia, Mississippi State. I want to see how Georgia comes off of that big game against another great offense, the Mike Leach air show. Florida State, Syracuse. Again, I'm keeping an eye on Florida State as one of the most underrated teams in the country right now. And then, of course, some of the Pac-12 games. I want to see these teams warm up for their Final Four Saturday, if you will, next Saturday, with Utah, Stanford. There's plenty to go around. Again, hunker down. It's going to be a great Saturday.
Great stuff, Brett. As always, we appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you next week here before Nebraska and Wisconsin.
All right. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.
That's Brett Ciancia, Pick Six previews. So TCU, Robbie's playing their 8th straight week.
Mm-hmm.
Their offensive efficiency metrics have come down a little bit.
Yep.
I mean, whether you want to embrace it or not, Texas football is having a good season, and it looks like they're playing well at the right time.
Yeah.
I like how their defense is playing. They still got Bijan Robinson, who is a difference maker, and he's fresh. Gosh, I like Texas at home. I don't know if they cover a touchdown, but I like Texas to upset TCU and knock them out and move Tennessee back into the top 4 when we reconvene on Tuesday for the playoff rankings. SEC, Big Ten, each get 2 in. Pac-12, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, selfishly, because I don't want an SEC-dominated playoff, I am rooting for TCU here. Plus, I never want Texas. I don't want anything good to happen to Texas ever. But I kind of tend to think you're right. I do think the number's probably too big. It's I've got it at 7.5 now. That seems a little high, but this feels like a really, really tough spot for TCU on the road against, like you said, a Texas team that's playing pretty well. But if TCU is able to come out of this with a win, I think we know a lot more about them as a potential college football playoff team.
Here's what I want. You
Chaos.
know where I'm going. Yes. I want Texas to beat TCU. Emotional game. Great night in Austin. And then next week, let down. Hopefully a night game in Lawrence, 20 degrees. Big rematch for them with Kansas after that game last year down there. And there's your chaos. Sets up perfectly.
Selfish.
Very selfish. That's where we're at right
But
now.
KU, people forget, KU has great success against Texas in football.
Well, it's not that much chaos because Texas is already out of the college football playoff. I want college football playoff chaos. I don't care about Texas chaos.
So I'm here for the Texas chaos, but I do like the other chaos too. And we're right about TCU. If TCU wins, there's your answer. I mean, they're pretty good, but everyone's going to be like, all right, they're legit. They're a playoff team.
Well, you want chaos. How about this in the Big Ten? So, again, I'm checking the weather in Champaign.
Yeah.
Because the wind this time of the year, I don't know if you know this, Robbie, this is Big Ten football. The wind can play a factor if you're a throwing team.
We saw that with Ohio State.
But if you're a running team, if you're a good running team, you can run through the wind and with the wind at your back.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to run faster on turf with the wind at my back. Just
Sure.
saying, anybody out there looking for a free agent running back? I'm available. If by chance, so Illinois has a great opportunity here. They beat Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
You figure they're going to beat Northwestern.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be amazing to go 6-0 in their own division.
Yeah.
And Bielema is the coach of the year in the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
He might already be the coach of the year. Maybe. And unless they fall apart, because let's say
Harbaugh's probably got an argument again.
Yeah, he would be my second. But
Yeah.
if Illinois falls apart, because they lose last week against Michigan State, and there were a lot of things about that game that reminded me of the old Illinois.
Yeah.
Just some head-scratching decisions. If they lose to Purdue, remember, they got Michigan next week.
They do.
So all of a sudden, that's 3 in a row. But if Illinois wins, they're essentially going to win the West because they have Northwestern at the end of the year. And I don't think with the Big Ten championship division championship on the line, they're dropping a game to Northwestern.
Absolutely not.
I could be crazy, but Northwestern still has a chance to win the West. But if that does not happen, if by chance Purdue wins tomorrow on the road, do you know who could slide back to Indianapolis?
Your Wisconsin Badgers.
Nope. But the team they play tomorrow,
Iowa.
So if Iowa beats Wisconsin, and then Iowa beats Minnesota, and then Iowa beats Nebraska, for God's sake, the Hawkeyes are going back to Indianapolis, but they'll need some help. I don't see it happening. I think Illinois takes care of business tomorrow, and they're on their way to going to Indianapolis. It's a good story year 2. Bielema is the coach of the year in the Big Ten. Harbaugh, if they run the table, he's probably the runner-up. But nationally, Spike Dykes or Brett Bielema for coach of the year. I think if TCU's in the playoff, it's Dykes. It may already be Dykes, but man, Bielema is going to be up for coach of the year nationally.
Oh yeah, he's got.
They're in Indianapolis.
He's got to be in that conversation. This has been the turnaround that he's done at Illinois in year 2 is really remarkable. And like Brett said, it should give Nebraska fans hope that if you get this right, it doesn't take that long. It's not like Illinois was in great shape when Bielema took over. They were in pretty poor form under Lovie Smith. And you look at their recruiting rankings, he didn't exactly leave a ton of talent. Now, Bielema's done a really good job developing the talent that was there. But if you get it right, it doesn't have to take a long time.
Now, a little bit, though, Lovie Smith could recruit on the defensive side of the ball. They were in the wrong system. So
yes,
they
that's
walked
fair.
in and they had some dudes on the defensive side of the ball. That's why I keep going back to the next coach that walks in here.
Mm-hmm.
And he inherits what we think will be left. And you think next year's got to be a bowl season. I don't care. Don't call up the show and say, well, you got to get the crap out of here. All right. Take the day off. You've got to be competing to be in a bowl game next year at Nebraska. We're talking, for God's sake, 6 wins.
Oh, I agree. It's not that hard.
Okay. Now, winning is hard around here, but it's not like you got to go win 8 or 9. You got to find a way to win 6 and then find a way to win more after that next year. So that should be the mindset of a coach. I mean, no coach wants to walk in here next year and go, oh, you know what? Hey, just hang in there. We're building. It's 7 straight years since the program's been to a bowl game. You're like, you know what? We need to accomplish like small things before we go larger. And one of those small things would be just getting to a bowl game. But with that said, you're going to look at it and go, okay, where do I give myself the best opportunity to have some stabilization, if that is a word or not? I think I just made it up, where we can make progress sooner while we work on the stuff that is behind the front door.
Sure.
Is that defense at Nebraska. When you think about what might be left over, whether it be guys transferring, guys losing eligibility. Now there's 12 seniors in the whole program.
Yeah.
There's 9 scholarship guys, but you may have some guys that are portal guys. I keep going back to defense. If you can find a way and find some fellas that are up front and not knowing what kind of defense you're going to play, I still think defense is an area where Nebraska in 23 probably could have their feet firmly on the ground before the offense, because you might be replacing a good chunk of your quarterback room, your wide receivers, your tight end, your unknown at offensive line. I think defense is the way to go. And look at that's an Illinois blueprint. They had some defensive things to take advantage of. Well, they had a couple of pieces on offense that they could work on.
Well, that's what a good coach does, right? They take the players that are available to them at the time. They try and get the most out of them. They put them in places to be successful and give them chances to succeed as they build what they want to build and what they need to build on either side of the ball. It doesn't have to be a situation where it's like, oh, next year we're going to go 2-10 as we figure this thing out. Like that's not how you want to start this thing off, right? The last head coach started his tenure 0-6. That's probably not how we want to do that again.
That'd be great. Hey, I want you guys just to be prepared here in Husker Nation. We may go 2-10.
Yeah, we're gonna go 2-10, then 4-8, and then we'll maybe talk about a bowl game in year 3. Like that's not it. You should be able to make with the talent on the roster. And I understand there's going to be some turnover. you should be able to make a bowl game in year one. I agree with you 100%. That has to be the goal.
Reminds me of a story. We asked Mangino in college on media day, well, what do you think your record's going to be? Well, we didn't ask. Some people asked, and he goes, same as I do every year, 12-0, unless you know something different. And so that's the mentality. You think you're going to win every game. No, we just hope we go 6-6. That's okay.
I just hope they go 6-6. I
I
need a bowl game.
If you do the things that you're supposed to do, absolutely you
They
can.
just need a bowl game at this point.
This is not from Badger Kyle. This is from somebody else. This is from Vern. He said, your discussion about Coach of the Year in the Big Ten, let's say Illinois drops and they lose out the rest of the year or lose the next two.
Okay.
So they've already lost to Michigan State. They would lose at home to Purdue.
And then lose to Michigan.
And then lose to Michigan. Would Jim Leonard get a vote if Wisconsin runs the table? He might get a vote.
Yeah, he's not going to win.
But that would be, what, a 6-1 finish for an interim coach at Wisconsin? And you would have then run through your back half would be Iowa, Nebraska, Minnesota.
Yeah, it would be impressive. And you're right. He might get a vote or a handful of votes, but he's not going to win it. If Michigan, especially if Michigan runs the table again and is looking at being in the college football playoff, it's going to be Harbaugh.
We'll talk about his team. We'll talk about Harbaugh. Because if you were in Ann Arbor in 2018, and I apologize, I'm battling a cold here once again. If you were in Ann Arbor in 2018, that was the third game of the Frost era, and you knew what Frost was up against.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in 2022, and Nebraska is playing their 10th game of the season. And there was dread in 18. Oh, there was dread, Ravi.
Mm-hmm.
There is dread tomorrow, or there's, we'll see. We'll see what my motivation is to watch and how long I'll watch. Is the different feeling of dread and much different than there is tomorrow. There's dread and from 18 to 22. Do you kind of get where I'm going here? We're talking about in the next segment. How you feel. You know what you're up against.
Mm-hmm.
But in
okay,
18 compared to but
yeah,
in 22.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going.
We'll discuss when we come back. There's Robbie Jimmy here as well. Lee Sterling in a little bit. Mike Sauter coming up at 8:30. We have the state semifinals in high school football. Going to be a good night. There are some great matchups that are going to go on, not only around this area, but around the state. And Mr. Battle Bowl, Mike Sauter, who his timeline is just filled with all the kids that are committing to play in the Battle Bowl.
Yeah.
Which is a great event.
Yeah.
I knock on wood, they get great weather Thanksgiving weekend. So Mike will tell us about that. He's also started his winter media days.
Oh, yeah.
I think high school basketball, high school winter sports practice begins on Monday.
Yeah, I think it's about that time.
I'm not ready for this.
You're not ready?
Well, we're about a week into college basketball already. I'm not ready for this. We need to space this out. You get older, things go faster.
There's no time. No time to space it out. We got to get going. Basketball season. Going to be in Maui soon. Not me personally, but
you said that with some gusto. You're like, Maui?
Listen, the idea of Maui is just warms my heart, even if I won't be there personally.
Yeah, now I'm running into more people that are telling me, yeah, me and my parents were going to Maui.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay.
I say we push for them to send Robbie to Maui.
Yeah, that's true. We need to figure out how to do live pre-games from Maui.
Robbie wants to go to the Final Four. He would give up Maui
for
100%. Potential Final Four.
Oh, absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
Houston's almost.
I don't mean to flex on anybody, but I'm going to be in Florida on the ocean on Thanksgiving doing basketball.
Well, sure. Yeah.
It won't be Maui or Cancun or wherever Creighton ends up.
Just Maui. They're not going to Cancun this year. They're going to Vegas.
I know. They go to the Bahamas. They always go on a one trip. Like Mac is a smart guy. He's been through this a long time. Mac wants to go where Mac wants to go.
Yeah. He's the Adam Sandler of coaches. He just wants to go film movies in the tropics with his friends.
But haven't you found more people that now I'm going to Maui?
Yeah, no, I think a bunch of people are.
Hey, won't be able to get with you next week because I'm going to be in Maui.
Yeah.
Or I'm not going to be able to, we're not going to be able to get together because I'm going to watch Nebraska play at the Milk House in Orlando.
Are a lot of people doing that?
I guess there are. Quite a few people are going down. Pavelka told me last night it was great to see Kent and Jake, who do a great job on the Nebraska basketball broadcast. Sat next to Strickland last night. Boy, Strick's suit game.
Yeah?
Whew.
Pretty strong?
Yeah. Strick might get back into officiating in basketball.
Really?
Yeah, he likes his TV stuff. So him and Jessica Cootie are doing the Big Ten Plus. So Strick likes the TV.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to get back into basketball officiating. He'd like to be a college basketball official.
Okay.
But his suit game is on point. I don't know if you were doing Creighton stuff. I don't know if Jimmy, you saw what he was wearing last night. But man, him and I do not share the same suits. I mean, I was suited and booted last night.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, oh man, nobody look at me. Strick looks great. But Pavelka was telling me, like, they're going to be in Orlando for a week. Like the schedule, they play on Thanksgiving, then they play on Friday, and then they don't play again until Sunday.
Oh, so they got a little time.
Yeah, so they're going to be like in a week in Orlando. And Kent goes, what do you think we should do? And I just looked at him. And I said, Kent, you're going to Orlando. You got the parks.
I was going to say.
Okay.
What does everybody do in Orlando?
How many times are you, and Nebraska has played down in Orlando.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what are you gonna like? Hang out in the hotel room?
Yeah, go to the parks, maybe go to Disneyland, Universal, whatever.
I mean, there's no ocean. I mean, you have to go a little bit to get to the ocean, but go to the parks.
Go to the parks, man.
I mean,
does Kent strike you as a big like Harry Potter world guy? No, not a Harry Potter world.
I don't know. Kent can sneak up on you, man.
He'll
drop some stuff on you, and you go, "Whoa, I didn't realize that." But it was great to see Kent and Jake.
Maybe he would go make his own like lightsaber at the Star Wars deal.
Oh, now that would blow up Nebraska basketball Twitter.
It would, yeah.
It would. We'll discuss the question we asked about the 18-22 game with Nebraska playing at Michigan once again when we come back on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
Connie Mack only won 9 pennants in his 55 years as a manager. What a bum.
Could you imagine sports radio in the time of Connie Mack? Boy, I tell you, this Connie Mack guy just can't get it done. Can't win the big one. Can't get over the hump. Only 5 World Series. Connie Mack, more like Connie Hack. Am I right?
That's exactly how they talked.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV Newswatch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A frigid start to Friday with wind chills in the single digits. We'll see lots of sunshine throughout the day, but remaining cold and breezy with northwest winds gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. Highs in the low 30s with feels-like temperatures remaining in the teens and lower 20s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV Newswatch 7.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Bird AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We've got an accident on the right shoulder of I-80 westbound at 96th Street, and it's backed up all the way to exit 448. JFK northbound is looking stop and go. L Street around 90th has congestion both ways, and Dodge Street from 90th to 72nd has a moderate level of traffic. My name's Conrad. That's been your morning traffic.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Methodist Health System, the meaning of care.
When envisioning what kind of future is possible, the challenges never stop. And neither do we. Methodist, the meaning of care.
Visit Sid Dillon Chevrolet to shop inventory or to order your new vehicle. And we're your Chevrolet Business Elite dealer offering medium-duty trucks and low-cab forwards.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Chevy, find new roads.
It's your time for higher education, not higher debt. And it all starts with a scholarship application to Metropolitan Community College. Every year, MCC awards more than $3 million in scholarships to students. In less than 5 minutes with a single application, you can apply for all the scholarships available to you. It's your time to path forward. Let MCC show you the way. Register today. Classes start December 1st. Apply today at mccneb.edu/scholarships.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank. Hey, it's Tapper for the FanDuel Sportsbook, and another week of NFL action is upon us. Take a look at any of the games this Sunday and cook yourself up a same-game parlay. So maybe you look at Detroit and Chicago and Jared Goff and Justin Fields. Those guys going to throw an interception? Maybe. Parlay that with the spread or the point total, and you got yourself a same-game parlay. It's as easy as that. And that's just one of the reasons why I bet with FanDuel. The live betting aspect is clutch on Sundays, and there's great odds boosts and specials every day, some super boosts each weekend around the biggest matchups. There's no feeling like nailing a same game parlay bet, so lock in your bet today on FanDuel Sportsbook. If you're new to FanDuel, sign up today with promo code HAPPER for your no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Promo code HAPPER. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 and over, present in Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
1620 The Zone.
Happy Veterans Day, everybody. Thank you for what you do, have done, continue to do, will do. We thank you on this November 11th. Welcome back in. 1620 The Zone in the mornings. I'm Gary. There's Robbie, Jimmy here as well. A couple other notes before we dive back into that question about 18 and 22 Nebraska-Michigan. I don't follow a ton of soccer. I'm not opposed to it, but I don't have time to follow a lot of soccer. So we haven't had a full breakdown on the U.S. men's World Cup roster of the omissions and the surprise and how it feels like it's a knockout roster in the first round. But Duncan McGuire, I was wondering, because I follow, Rob Anderson, men's soccer at Creighton, and they're into the Big East final. They'll play on Saturday morning.
Sunday morning.
Sunday morning?
Yeah, I believe so.
Does Duncan McGuire score every goal for both teams? Because every tweet is about Duncan McGuire scoring. They beat Seton Hall 6-0. Like Creighton just owns Seton Hall in every sport.
Yes, yeah.
But he went off. He scored 4 goals. He leads the NCAA. So you have the men's leading goal scorer is at Creighton, and the men's leading goal scorer in hockey, Jack Randall, is at Omaha. But I think Duncan McGuire just scores every goal that is scored in a Creighton soccer game.
No, yeah, he basically does. He was the Big East Player of the Year. Incredible goal scoring talent, and it was I was kind of following along yesterday as I was getting ready to do shoot around. I don't think Creighton scored for usually in a 6-0 game, you kind of get either a avalanche early or it's kind of like spaced out, like every 10 minutes you get a goal. I don't think Creighton scored for the first 30 minutes of that game. And so, and then they scored 4 times in like 10 minutes in the second half. It just was boom, 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 boom. And Duncan McGuire is incredible. This is kind of a strange men's soccer team because they started off the year incredibly hot and scoring a ton of goals. And then they had a bit of a lull during the conference season, but they're playing well at the right time, and hopefully they can get that Big East championship and get themselves into the NCAA tournament.
We're in a soccer town. Omaha women's soccer play at Notre Dame tomorrow. Also, we'll talk to Mike Sauter, high school state football semifinals tonight across the state. But the beast and the wagon that is Council Bluffs Lewis Central, they've rolled again into the 4A finals. So Max Duggan playing at TCU.
Yeah.
Council Bluffs Lewis Central, which is, they've overcome some key injuries. Man, that is a hell of a program over there, and they're back to defend their championship. So I asked Robbie going into the break. Nebraska goes up to play in Ann Arbor in 2018. Eric Chenander tells me afterwards they were standing on the sidelines, standing on the field, watching warm-ups.
Yeah.
And they were like, we are in trouble. Because Michigan in 2018, large.
Yeah.
Much larger than Nebraska.
Yeah.
And he said he knew it was going to be a long day. But he said, you know what? Now we know what we have to do physically, what we got to get our bodies in. And it was no surprise. They already knew that when they took over about building guys up.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 2018. So there was the dread, and that was 56-10, and Harbaugh stuck it to Frost. I mean, it was demoralizing.
Yeah.
Adrian Martinez was on a bad wheel. It was bad from the start. But you thought, okay, I get this. Okay, I kind of
year one
season got off to a little rocky start. You had the Colorado game, then you had the Troy game. Now you got Michigan. But you thought, Nebraska's going to be Michigan. Okay. They're going to have big offensive linemen. They're going to have a good running back. They don't need a game-changing quarterback, even though, hey, we got Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be Michigan down the road. Okay, so that was an 18. Then you had the little get-together last year that if Nebraska finds a way to beat Michigan, the top gets blown off of Lincoln. Okay?
Yep.
Man, that's the biggest win in the Frost era. Here we go. Didn't happen. A lot of familiarity on how that game unfolded.
Mm-hmm.
Now tomorrow, I ain't going to BS anybody. This is almost nearly impossible for Nebraska to win tomorrow. I mean, there's so many things that Michigan does that Nebraska just doesn't do well, and there's no Casey Thompson. I mean, it is a heck of a challenge. Okay, the spread is right there for a reason. There is the dread of the game, how it's going to go, how ugly it can go, and I'm thinking 30.5, 31 is a lot of points to cover, but the dread of 18. And the reaction you had of what the future looked like, what's the dread tomorrow? And then the after effect, because do you go, man, I'm dreading tomorrow. Just get out of there. I don't care if you pull a BS Callahan at USC where you cheapen the game and you just try and run and get out of there, without anybody getting hurt and the score doesn't look as bad.
Yeah, I think that's the best case scenario.
But then you go, okay, hey, that's the dread. But do you have hope for the next time Nebraska and Michigan play? Because they will play next year at the end of September. Or do you say, man, I have dread and I have no idea what's going to happen? Isn't that weird? In that span of time from 18 to 22, and the one constant is Jim Harbaugh, who I think a lot of people thought in 18 Frost would be at Nebraska still. Harbaugh would not.
Yeah.
Harbaugh has been the constant.
Yeah, I certainly thought there was a better chance that Frost would still be at Nebraska than there would be that Harbaugh was still at Michigan. I wasn't one of those people that was convinced Harbaugh would either be fired or leave, but it seemed like Frost being here for a long time was inevitable. I think in 2018 the feeling was dread but hope. This year for me it's dread but anxiety. Because we don't know who the head coach is going to be. In my opinion, if it's Mickey Joseph, then my fear is dread and dread. But if we get an announcement in a couple weeks that it's, an experienced head coach with a track record of turning things around, let's say, Mark Stoops or Matt Rule, you look at that and then I've got dread and hope again. And it's one of those things where that's why it's anxiety, because you don't know. You have no idea what the announcement's going to be. It sounds like it's not going to be for a couple of weeks, but you have no idea what the announcement's going to be. You have no idea who it's going to be. And depending on who it is going to dramatically impact how you feel about Nebraska the next time that they play Michigan. So I think the only word for it for me with that amount of unknown is just anxiety.
It's just the difference from 18 to 22.
It's a huge difference. I mean, it's hard to remember at this point because of how much disappointments there's been since then. It's hard to remember how enthusiastic and optimistic almost universally everyone was about Scott Frost. And I was, just marginally more reserved than some people, because I was like, the resume is a little lighter than we thought, or than it maybe can look. Doesn't have a ton of head coaching experience, but I still thought he was the guy. I still thought it was going to work out. I was still incredibly enthusiastic and excited because it seemed like he was the guy. I don't know a single person, even people that agreed with me, that were like, yeah, maybe the resume, maybe you'd like it to be a little heftier. But even those people were like, yeah, this is awesome. This is going to be great. It doesn't really matter what's happening right now because he's going to get this thing rolling. And in 4 years from now, it's going to be awesome. It's hard to remember what that feels like. And it wasn't that long ago. That was only 4 years ago. And we've come so far in that amount of time, and not in a good way, that you can't even almost recapture what it you can't even remember what it felt like in that moment. It's like, yeah, it was 56-10, but I don't really know anybody that was terribly discouraged by that.
No.
It was awful.
Other than don't Adrian make sure that he's upright and
Right.
walks out of the stadium.
Yeah, the only concerning thing about it was like, maybe Adrian shouldn't have been in there. He didn't look totally healthy. Maybe we didn't put him in a good spot. But outside of some of the granular things about the game itself, I don't know anyone that was discouraged long term about a 56-10 against Michigan. Let's say that score plays itself out again this year, which is on the table, by the way. I mean, that's not out of the question.
That would mean they'd cover.
They would cover, yes, by quite a bit
Somehow
there.
they'd get the 10.
And the over. If that happened again this year, I think it would just reinforce the dread because there is no definitive hope on the horizon. Even if it was false hope last time, we didn't know that at the time.
And the constant is Harbaugh. 2018, Michigan, 2022, Michigan. They essentially look exactly the same. The way they're built, the way they look, position group to position group, the NFL dudes they have on the field, and the identity of what they want to do. Jim Harbaugh is who he has always been. He was in 18. He was in 22. And that has helped outside of the COVID hiccup in 20, where most everybody gets a pass, nearly everybody, is they are the same football program, and he hasn't changed, and that has benefited Michigan. And that's a sign. I mean, they didn't have an overwhelming talent in 18. They are the same team. They do the same exact thing. They've never changed. They've just gotten better or more consistent quarterback play. It's amazing. The feeling in 18 compared to the feeling in 22, how you felt about where Nebraska was going compared to Michigan, and they both had a man that was back at their alma mater.
And I do think Michigan has upgraded the talent. It's not like they were lacking in talent in 2018. I do think they have slowly upgraded their talent gradually over the course of the last few years here with Harbaugh. I think his coordinators are better than they used to be, so he gets more out of the talent that they're getting.
Even though it's kind of been a revolving door.
Yeah, I just think he's chosen better the last few years. But yeah, I mean, you're looking at a point where, if you were probably betting, and this sounds crazy to talk about now, but if you were betting on in 2018, 5 years from now, which of those two teams is in the college football playoff, I think there's a decent amount of people who would have thought Nebraska. Like, that's how highly Scott Frost was regarded at the time and how kind of people were on Harbaugh. It's like, yeah, he's probably going to win 8, 9, 10 games most years. That's probably the ceiling at Michigan. Well, guess what? It's not the ceiling at Michigan, and Scott Frost is the backup choice at South Florida now. So, that's how far we've come in 4 short years.
All right, Lee Sterling, it's on his picks on the Nebraska-Michigan game, along with Texas, TCU, Illinois, Purdue, Wisconsin, Iowa, and the Bills and the Vikings in the Harrison Phillips return game. That's all coming up next when Lee joins us on 1620 The Zone.
Big names, big games. We've got them all. 1620 The Zone. Caller 4 right now, 402-951-1620. Qualifies for 1620 The Zone's 4-quarter pick'em. It's your chance to pick 4 football games correctly against the spread to win $1,620. Call 402-951-1620. Call now to qualify with 1620 The Zone.
Buy your next vehicle your way from anywhere with Woodhouse. Start your journey online at woodhouse.com. Easily shop all new and pre-owned inventory, explore payment options, and apply for financing. Ready to purchase? Schedule your new vehicle for pickup from the dealership or have it delivered to your driveway. Need a little extra help in determining your perfect vehicle? Our knowledgeable and local dealerships can guide you to the vehicle that best matches your needs. Experience car buying your way with Woodhouse, a trusted auto partner since 1975.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is and has always been locally owned and operated. Now, with 160 employee owners, chances are one of us lives in your neighborhood. We take pride in taking care of you, our customers, and keeping you comfortable all year round. And as always, our technicians don't have sales quotas. When other companies send salespeople, Standard sends qualified technicians. It's just part of.
Carrier, turn to the experts. Get ready for the Genesis Health Club's grand opening at 84th and Q Street this Saturday, November 12th. Special classes, prizes, food, a bounce house, and fun games for the kids. Plus, no enrollment on month-to-month memberships and a chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card. One day only this Saturday at the 84th and Q Street Genesis Health Club's location in Omaha. Construction is finished and fitness has reached a whole new level in Omaha with top-of-the-line equipment. Tons of fun, motivating classes, including strength, Zumba and cycle, basketball, indoor track, luxury locker rooms with fluffy towel service, plus indoor and outdoor swimming pools. Relax afterwards in a hot tub, dry saunas, and steam rooms, or get a massage from one of our professionals in the luxury spa. Come celebrate with Genesis. You're invited to the grand opening of the completely remodeled 84th and Q Street location this Saturday. One day only. No enrollment on month-to-month memberships. Plus, your chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card. Come see us at the 84th and Q Street Genesis Health Club location this Saturday. RSVP at genesishealthclubs.com.
The holidays are coming, and what's better than the gift of spending time together? And Tickets for Less and ticketsforless.com is going to help you. You can find tickets to all the best live sporting events, concerts, and holiday shows, and you never pay extra per ticket fees. Plus, you can save even more at ticketsforless.com when you use the promo code The Zone at checkout for an extra discount on your order. That code again is The Zone. It's good site-wide at ticketsforless.com, or you can call Tickets for Less at 402-398-1999 and redeem the code over the phone. Secure your tickets and save with Tickets for Less.
How would you like to come home to a bartender who will fix you any cocktail you want? I'll have an old-fashioned.
I'll have a margarita.
Now you can with the Bartesian Home Cocktail Maker. Bartesian is a sleek machine the size of a coffee maker that makes premium cocktails at the touch of a button. Choose from over 50 different cocktails, from classics to the most exotic premium cocktails served in the best bars today. You'll always get freshly mixed, perfectly balanced cocktails with the Bartesian Cocktail Maker. Entertaining? The Bartesian is ideal for parties. No need to stock all kinds of individual mixers for complicated recipes. Every guest gets the cocktail of their choice in seconds. The Bartesian makes a wonderful gift for weddings, holidays, birthdays, or for anyone who loves a fine premium cocktail. Now get Bartesian's best Black Friday deal ever. It's available right now, only at bartesian.com/drinks. That's BARTESIAN.com/drinks for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/drinks.
At Simply Safe Home Security, we know in an emergency, the clock is ticking. So we designed an advanced security system powered by live 24/7 professional monitoring agents who use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture video evidence and verify a threat. Then alert police so you get faster police response. Right now, get 40% off any new system. Visit simplysafe.com/holiday to save big today. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is to Cops. Receive 2 $25 gift vouchers for just $25. Cops makes delicious pizza, fresh salads, tasty charred wings, sandwiches, pastas, and steaks. For the basic menu, click copspizza.com. For the extended menu, visit them at Shadow Lake Town Center or 180th and Center.
Zone Deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
Here's an opportunity for business-to-business salespeople. NRG Media is looking for someone who gets excited about helping local businesses grow. Are you an idea person who can create and execute a plan? We should talk. At NRG Media, we create local marketing campaigns designed to meet a key challenge. On air, online, on-site, audio, video. It's all part of what you could do. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Business-to-business salespeople? Apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
1620 The Zone.
All right, another full slate of football. We are in Money Month. We're in November. Lee Sterling is on a roll from Paramount Sports. He joins us now. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning. Yeah. As a Dolphins fan, pretty happy. As a Miami Hurricanes fan, probably feel even worse than you guys right now.
Ooh, I had to double check to make sure that score was correct in the Florida State-Miami game.
Oh, it was. One of the first games I've turned off at halftime. Just couldn't stomach it anymore.
Hey, that's saying a lot when you do that. I mean, Mario's got to get his stuff in order if Lee Sterling's turning the game off at halftime. Hey, let's dive in. There is a nice primetime game. There is a lot on the line for TCU. They have to go to Austin. Game day is there again. Texas coming off a huge win. Some might say letdown, and some might look at the line and go 7 against the team that's number 4 in the playoff ranking. How do you see Texas TCU?
Okay, so last week I think a lot of people thought that Tennessee was the play, getting the points over a touchdown. I didn't. I think TCU's the play here. They play close games. I think that Texas is a little overrated. Texas, I think, was helped last week when they played Kansas State, having to bye to prepare for the game, heal up, game plan. And then for some reason, Kansas State starts Adrian Martinez instead of Will Howard, who's one of the hottest quarterbacks in the country, who had just beaten Oklahoma State 48-0, was up 28-10 over TCU until he went out with an injury. So sometimes even Kansas State, who's well coached, they make a mistake. Both teams are balanced. Texas, 203 rushing yards per game, 265 through the air. TCU, even better, top 16 in both, 219 yards rushing per game, 286 in the air. I just think Steve Sarkisian's play calling, second half, has been atrocious. I mean, they've been outscored 38-6, whereas TCU has outscored opponents 55-14 the last 4 games in the fourth quarter. And TCU's played well last 8 games. They've won and covered 6 of the last 8 against the Longhorns. I don't think playing at home is going to be that big an advantage for Texas here. I think the wrong team's favored. I think TCU wins this game outright, 41-38.
Ooh, that's spicy.
Yep.
We've got a couple of Big Ten West matchups this week. Illinois coming off of that kind of bizarre loss to Michigan State. They're favored over Purdue. What are you thinking there?
So I fell for the trap. As a radio play, I thought that Illinois would roll here. That started at 10.5, then the suspension information came out, and some injuries, and the line went all the way up to 17. This Illinois team's just not good enough to cover that kind of spread. And everyone will say, I've heard one of the pundits on TV saying, number 1 pass defense in the nation, Illinois. Well, let's look at who that's been achieved against, those numbers. Wyoming, Indiana, Virginia, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska's backup quarterbacks, and Michigan State, which threw the ball on them to beat them last week. Purdue, they just do their best work as an underdog here. They win outright. Another wrong team favorite. Purdue outright 30-20.
Lee, okay, so let's now go to a very important game. Jim Leonard in Wisconsin, they're feeling good. Iowa, back-to-back weeks, Northwestern and Purdue. Who knows if the offense has gotten right, but maybe Iowa has found a running back in Caleb Johnson. These two butt heads. The line is small. Wisconsin on the road at Kinnick as a 1-point favorite. Where are we going?
So both sides are now a game back. Illinois now, they both did lose head-to-head, but you never know. I think they'll continue to play hard here. Look at both of these teams. So many similarities. Both live with their defense or offense or a work in progress. Hawkeyes helped Purdue 33 points per game offense, just 3 points, and 190 yards less than Purdue's prior yard per game average. And the Badgers, right there also, they held Maryland's 454 yard per game offense to 189. Progress, slow progress. I think it's right now in Iowa's backyard, and I think that they're playing at home. Their offense is slowly trending upward here. I think they win and cover here, 17-14.
Oh, staying in
a third wrong team favorite.
Staying in the Big Ten. I don't think the wrong team.
Lee, if you say the wrong team is favored here, we may have to stop the segment.
I don't think the wrong team is favored here. The question is, can Michigan cover that big number against Nebraska?
It's big. Usually you don't get a whole lot from coaches' press conferences, but Nebraska's interim coach after the game said, our number 2 quarterback playing in place of Casey Thompson, he's not seeing the coverage. He's not seeing the progression he needs to get to. Pretty telling there. Good luck all of a sudden having everything coming together against Michigan's defense here. And then, Nebraska's defense probably similar to Rutgers. And what did Michigan do? They gashed them last week on the ground for 53 carries for 282 yards and a 35-point burial. The right team is favored here. Michigan only wins by 34, not 35, 44-10.
All right, now let's drop to the NFL because this line, because the huge question mark with Josh Allen, the line went from 9 and went to 7.5. It has now dropped down to 4. So we're pretty much feeling that Allen is unlikely in this game.
Right.
The Vikings, are they for real? They're on the road in Buffalo. How are we feeling for this matchup that I'm sure some people up north would like to look at this as a Super Bowl preview?
Okay. Yeah. maybe they'll take Fran Tarkington back and Chuck Foreman. I don't know. But they are 7-1. And I just thought they were gifted, that win last week by Washington. Washington seems to do that on a pretty regular basis, that interception, their own side of the field late in the game. Give them credit. They did win the game. They threw the touchdown that was the game winner here. But their 6 victories have been by 1 score or less. And the one time they had to step up in class and go on the road against a quality team, the Eagles, they got crushed 24-7. I know Buffalo will probably be playing without Josh Allen. Their running back situation, they're just mediocre. So Minnesota's stronger probably at quarterback and at running back. But other than that, I think almost all the advantage are on Buffalo's side. And also Tre'Davious White, star cornerback, looks like he might be back for this game. And if he can limit Justin Jefferson a little bit, I'll take Buffalo at home, laying 3.5 points now. I think Buffalo's the right side here.
I like where you're going with that. I also, a lot of people would like to know where you're going and how they can get your game of the week. It is an interesting matchup on the Eastern Seaboard, Penn State and Maryland.
Yep. Interesting game. Penn State's dominated except for that one COVID year. Does James Franklin dominate again? Loxley, but we'll find out. You want to see if Penn State blows them out, or can Maryland keep it close? Maybe pull the upset. Just call 800-400-9741. The game is free. 800-400-9741, Penn State, Maryland. After we did lose our college 50-unit play on Saturday early with Air Force by 0.5 point, it was frustrating. Get to the 1-yard line. We have not lost a game. Reeled off 7 straight wins over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. One on Tuesday with some action, Ohio. Last night with Memphis. We're on a 9-game winning streak. We've won 11 out of 13 weeks. You don't need to sign up for the month of the season. How about this? 7 games on Saturday, just $77. When you purchase it, window pops open, all 7 games. You don't have to call me back tomorrow morning to get your games. You're ready to go and play them now. Or 5 in the NFL for $55, and we have not had a losing Sunday yet. 7 for $77 Saturday, 5 for $55 on Sunday. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Lee, have a great weekend.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Lee Sterling, you follow him on Twitter at Paramount Sports. TCU, Purdue, Iowa said the wrong team is favored.
3 of them in a row.
Uh-huh.
That's interesting.
Well,
We'll see. We'll see.
We will see. I do like his idea about Buffalo with Case Keenum.
Big Case Keenum guy?
Well, you can get me to 3, stay about 3.5, 4. I think I might be okay with Buffalo.
Case Keenum revenge game.
Yeah, still Buffalo, still the Vikings. Still Ravi, still Jimmy, still Gary. Coming up in a little bit, Mike Sauter will join us again. Great night, great matchups. All the classes, the semifinals. The weather is it's gonna be like mid-November here in Nebraska. I mean, quick complaint.
It's gonna be high school football playoff weather.
Yeah, we can't all be blessed where it's gonna be 60.
No,
it's gonna be a little cold. It's gonna, as I like to now call it, it's gonna be Creighton prep weather.
It's this football weather.
Football weather.
Here we go.
It's football people. It's football guys that are out there. They're playing football. That's what they do. They play football.
You can see their breath
because the weather is football. The weather just says football. He's coming up. Also, Mike Schaefer and Matt Verzal before we're out of here at 10 on 1620 The Zone. Hey, you want to go to a place that has football weather. This time of the year, there are some great games that are going on, whether they be in football weather or they be inside. Maybe on the basketball court. They could be a show. And if you're looking for a great way to win tickets to go see a game that will have football people in football weather in an important football game, Nebraska and Wisconsin play at Memorial Stadium next week. Now, listen closely. I got a hookup for you. I want to give away tickets to that game. All you have to do is go over to my friends at ticketsforless.com/contest. Sign up for the Husker football ticket giveaway. Now, the deadline is the 14th, so you have some time. Doesn't cost you anything. Go to ticketsforless.com/contest. Sign up to win tickets to go see Nebraska and Wisconsin, the final home game of the year at Memorial Stadium. Go to ticketsforless.com/contest now to sign up. And while you're there, also check out the great other contest that Tickets for Less is running. And you can always shop the best selection of tickets to basketball, football, pro, college, or shows that are going on right now at ticketsforless.com.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. Accident on I-80 West by 445 still being worked on. There's also an accident on 50th and Farnham. L Street eastbound is seeing heavy congestion from 120th to 84th, and Dodge Street is slowing down around 72nd. My name's Conrad. That's been your morning traffic.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
Through January 4th, 2023, enter non-winning Nebraska Lottery Holiday Wishes scratch tickets for a chance to win $1, $5, or $10,000. It's the Holiday Wishes Second Chance promotion, so enter today. Top prize odds vary by game.
Dave Matthews Band Live. This Saturday night, CHI Health Center.
So much to say, so much to say, so much to say, so much to say. You and me together could do anything, baby.
On sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Produced by Live Nation.
Last year, 42 Degrees Veterans Day promotion was a huge success. Besides the thousands of dollars of food and toiletries donated, 42 Degrees wrote a check for $2,000 to the Veterans Food Pantry. So, help a veteran and help yourself to an extra discount. 5% for 2 items, 10% for 4 items, or 15% for 6 items. So let's show our support to our veterans in 2022 and make this Veterans Day even better. 42 Degrees, your source for CBDs, Kratom, and Delta products. By your mom's house.
Many people go back to the dealership out of habit or because they think the dealer is the only one who knows how to fix their car. At Omaha Car Care, we offer a better option. We have ASE certified technicians, the technology to service any vehicle, and free loaner cars. The dealer will sell you a package of services. We'll provide the service you want for your car as your trusted partner. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $20.10 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, and 401k. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 101.9 The Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Now is the time for a furnace inspection, and McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning is here to help. An annual furnace inspection and tune-up from McCarthy's is essential to keep dangerous carbon monoxide from leaking into your home. Join McCarthy's Comfort Club and get a twice-annual inspection of your furnace and AC, discounts on repairs, and priority service, all for a low monthly price that will never go up. Visit McCarthy's1hour.com and schedule your furnace tune-up. Stay warm and safe with McCarthy's 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning. Always on time or you don't pay a dime.
Hey, everybody, it's Gary Sharp. Join me for We Got a Podcast, driven by Woodhouse Auto Family. We get more in depth, have a guest or two, and drop nuggets of info you haven't heard anywhere else. Join us for We Got a Podcast, driven by Woodhouse Auto Family, every Friday in the show page on 1620thezone.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
Halftime brought to you by Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off 680 and 48th Street, next to Cubby's. It's Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge.
One, two. I'm thinking about the Super Bowl halftime show. Hanging with my man Ravi, my man Jimmy.
You're not going to leave me hanging upside down like they did 50 Cent on the halftime show, right?
No.
He looked like he was having a little trouble breathing for a minute.
Have we seen him since then?
I hope he's okay.
Hope he is too. I was worried about him then.
Randomly, I saw yesterday he's supposed to be on the Today Show today.
So he did survive the ordeal.
Let's see if he's with my gal Savannah.
Savannah, what do we got today? Do we got Fitty?
What do you think the first thing that comes on to the Today Show when we turn on here in studio is? They're honoring the veterans.
Oh, there you go.
Good job by the Today Show. So 1, 2, hour number 3, Mike Sauter coming up at 8:30. Stu Manji on the stream on 1620 The Zone Twitter stream, or Zone TV, whatever we're calling it today, ahead of this game where people are anticipating a long day, no doubt. I mean, it's also the part of Nebraska's lost 6 straight games in the month of November. And wondering if, for style points, Michigan will try and run the score up, to impress the playoff committee. So there's going to be some pain that's going to be induced.
I agree.
So there are some that are in our email box that are wondering about the motivation to watch the game. Stu Manji says, I'm surprised about all these strong emotions surrounding the game tomorrow. I honestly feel nothing about tomorrow. Get in, get out, get a new coach. So I'm hosting Big Red Overreaction.
Congrats. Good luck.
Well, do you say good luck? Because, what tomorrow?
There's no expectations.
The only way that show is great is if Nebraska pulls a
miracle.
Harbaugh against Carroll, and as a, back then was a 41-point underdog, pulls off an upset, and you go, what? That
you're going to be on the air for a while.
A reaction show tomorrow is okay. Yeah, like the Callahan thing that I keep alluding to. Remember when he went to USC, and I hated that. I understood the game plan, but I think that cheapened the game.
Sure.
I don't think Nebraska won't go with that.
No.
Okay, they won't go with that game plan, but you want it. You want to get in and get out, not get anybody hurt. You got 2 games left. But the Callahan one I didn't like because I thought they cheapened the game. And there was such a buildup for that game.
Well, it was
the USC Nebraska game. And, he went in there and just ran the ball and hey, let's just get out of here as quickly as possible. If we keep it and we only get beat by 21, boom, we're fine.
Well, and it was so much different than what his offense actually is. And it's different now than Nebraska does probably need to limit possessions, give themselves a chance, give their defense a chance. And you're going with a backup quarterback, whether it's Smothers or Purdy. You're going in kind of hamstrung a little bit already with your offense. So it makes more sense to try and control the clock a little bit, try and control the game a little bit more than you probably would if you had Casey Thompson in there. Also, we've kind of been clamoring for them to change their play calling a little bit to give themselves an opportunity. I mean, basically since the Purdue game, to give themselves an opportunity to not have their defense on the field for 100 plays a game. So it's a very different vibe than the Callahan USC game, even though you theoretically could see and maybe should see a similar game plan. Yeah. The feeling about it will be very different.
I mean, think about this is for some, this is an NFL tape game. You're either going to end up on the wrong side of an NFL draft show in April, or if you are a prospect and you have a good game, you might have NFL tape here. I mean, you think about guys that you're looking forward to watching from the Nebraska angle tomorrow, like you haven't really gotten a huge taste of. It's probably Smothers.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I will be curious we all be curious. The number one storyline is, what does Nebraska look like on offense? Who has won the tug of war? And how many carries Anthony Grant is good for? But I'm very curious to see the usage rate of Gabe Ervin tomorrow. So fallen almost off the radar after coming back from the major knee injury. We've been waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
The absence of A.J. Allen has impacted this rushing game. It has impacted Anthony Grant. How much does Gabe Ervin play tomorrow? That's one of my key things I'm going to be watching for is how many times 22 carries the ball and what he looks like. Because as now you navigate through the last 2 weeks of the season, do we know if Gabe Ervin is a guy that is with a Grant and Allen, knock on wood, both coming back?
Yeah.
And I imagine Emmett Johnson isn't going to go anywhere.
Sure.
I don't think Yant would come back. Where does Gabe Ervin fit next year in the running back room?
That's a good question.
Does he have a 3-week tryout here?
I mean, yeah, maybe. That's a good question. The other thing that I'm going to be looking at is how many, I'm going to put this in a very specific way, how many touches does Trey Palmer have tomorrow? So I don't know about receptions necessarily, but how many touches does Trey Palmer have? Because I think they need to find ways to get the ball in his hands. We saw it's only, I think, been one this year, but when he got the ball on a rush, it worked really, really well. And obviously that can't be a staple of your offense, but is there a reason you can't try that 2 or 3 times a game? I mean, I don't think so. Is there a reason? We saw a little bit against Minnesota, some of the short passes that he was able to get some yards after the catch on those. I'll be interested to see how many touches Trey Palmer has, because you're not going to see the Casey Thompson just chuck it downfield game most likely with either one of the quarterbacks. And if it is with one of the quarterbacks, it'll probably be caught by a Michigan guy. But you probably still need to find a way to get Trey Palmer involved because he is still one of the best players on your team.
Here is Vince. Good morning, Vince. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, guys.
How you doing?
So the number one sport that I'll be actually participating in tomorrow is opening season. Here, I'll be sitting in my blind, possibly, hopefully seeing that 30-point buck and maybe listening to the Husker game.
Hey, so let me ask you. So a relative of mine is a big deer hunter, and they opened up in Minnesota. He said the opening weekend for firearm was lagging. He said it was a rough weekend for all of his buddies up in Minnesota.
Oh, really? Okay.
So are you looking for? Are you anticipating to have a lot of action tomorrow?
I do. I think kind of in the Sarpy County area and out west, there have been a lot of deer sighted. So, today's technology, guys put those little cameras out. And you can see, what activities going through and by. So I don't use that technology. I just use my eyes. So,
so Vince, what's your scorecard look like when it comes to deer hunting? What are the trophies that we have?
Well, last year I got a nice buck, except for I shot one of his antlers off, so I wasn't able to piece it together. And but I've done well.
Okay.
I haven't got that big trophy buck yet, and I've been hunting a long season. But I guess I'm more impatient just to get a nice deer for the season. But tomorrow I think I'm going to take my time. I mean, we got 2 weeks to do it, so I'll look for that big buck that might be coming out there.
All
and
right.
then next weekend we'll see what happens. Just get a little bit of the meat. See what happens.
All right.
So, because my permit is either sex. So.
Oh, okay.
But
that's good.
Yeah.
All right, Vince. Thanks for the call. And
You bet.
and
Good luck,
when you get your buck or anybody else who wants to drop off some deer jerky here at the station, we're at 50th and Capitol.
There you go.
You guys don't strike me as hunters. Vince started talking. You guys are like, as the spread changed from 30.5 to 31.
I got humans favored by 31 over the deer. So,
I've never been hunting.
But I've eaten some deer, so it is good. So I know.
No, yeah, I've eaten deer. I don't have an issue with it. My dad is from a different culture.
Okay.
So
using the dad card to get out.
I mean, it's not
Just
really
kidding, I'm
something
kidding.
that they did.
Yeah.
Hindus are famously pro-animal. So
Might be a little bit rough to tell dad, hey, I'm going with Gary and we're going on the opening day of firearm deer
I honestly
season.
don't think he would care if I did it. It's just one of those things where it was never something I was going to learn from him. So, and that's how, a lot of people learn hunting from their dads. That's kind of the deal, or grandpa or whoever. So yeah, that wasn't in the cards for me.
All right. So good luck to all the hunters out there.
Best of luck to. Also, I'll be honest. Now at this age, if I had started when I was young, I'm sure I would have gotten into it. I'm not about there just sitting out in the cold for hours at a time. It's not really my cup of tea. So,
In some years, it's not too bad, but it's going to be cold this weekend.
Last year, I'm not saying never. It's been a while since I've gotten a permit to do firearm for deer.
Yeah.
I like to duck hunt.
Okay.
And then I'll go pheasant hunting. I mean, we live in an area, this part of the country, where we have some incredible pheasant hunting. But I did go out with somebody last year that is a big deer hunter, and so we were looking for buck signs. We walked and looked for tree rubs and ground scrapes and stuff like that.
Is there?
But it's one of these days I am going to go hunt deer.
I didn't know what any of the words you just said meant, but is there a hunting season where it's warm out?
Yeah, I guess spring. Yeah, I think turkey season around here is in the spring.
Okay.
I've hunted turkey before.
So
that's when you find out the turkeys can fly, and it's not just from WKRP.
I could maybe do.
Or can't fly.
I could maybe do turkey season then when it's a little warmer out. I'm not camping. I'm not like.
You know what? Hey, well, we got time. We got time. We'll work on your turkey call.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not. See, I'm not going to sit in like a deer blind in the cold. That's not a thing that's going to happen. But if there's a little warmer weather in the spring, I'd go do that. Figure it out.
I'll get you into a duck blind.
Sure, duck is good. I'll eat duck.
Problem is in the fall. Look, we all are working, so
Yeah.
it's tough to get away.
Yeah, that's why spring is nice. We go hunt turkeys. I'm probably not going to eat the turkey. Not a big turkey guy, but
okay. Well, that's fine.
I was a big duck hunt guy on
You
Nintendo.
don't probably eat everything you catch when you're fishing, right?
I've never been fishing either.
All right. Well, we baby steps. Baby steps here. There are plenty of people that will take you out fishing.
Yeah, again, I'm not opposed to it.
Okay.
I am buying a boat, I think, so
but not to fish. You're just for recreational purposes.
Yeah, no, for chilling.
I'm all for that becoming a bit. Somebody take Robbie fishing.
I want to be there when you go to buy the boat and they go, well, what are you using this for? You got water skiers? Do you like to fish? Do you just want to go boating? You're like, no, I just want to go out in the middle of a lake and just chill.
Yeah.
I want to throw the anchor out and I want to lay down in the boat and just lay there.
Yeah, just for vibes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what boats are good for.
That's good. You get priorities. You have an identity.
Big summer vibes.
Yes. Well, I think you're gonna have to wait for a while on that.
Well, yeah, something to look forward to.
All right. So there's Vince. I'm glad that Vince called. Maybe Vince will call next week and he'll have success.
Yeah, that would. I hope he does. I hope he has a good opening weekend.
Yeah, I'd love an update on Monday from him.
And then we'll get some sausage. We'll get some jerky.
Listen. I like venison.
We'll go over to Kenny at Stoysich.
I like deer jerky is really good. I've had like venison burgers. Like I'm pro the industry. Just never been.
All right, Mike Sauter is coming up next. It is a prep semifinal Friday night. There are some great matchups locally around the state. So we will pick Sauter's brain. Wouldn't this be a night for Tim Yonk? Gets back to the state final in A, and the place where he won a state championship, Gross, which is a great story for a senior class that is hung in there. They make it to the state final as well in Class B, which would mean they would have beaten Scotts Bluff over at Bryan tonight.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim Yonk's world, and we're just living in it the last couple of weeks.
Storylines all over the place.
But they do play a team that has Zane Flores.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah, and they got Weber back, and
not bad over there at Gretna.
Yeah, that should be I bet that place is packed tonight.
Oh yeah,
that'll be a place like West Side Grand Island. People are like, West Side will be in the final. We'll wait a couple weeks to see them. Which I don't go all the way there. Yeah, but Prep and Gretna will probably be packed, and it'll be like a celebrity place. I imagine there'll be a lot of people that want to be seen that will be at the Gretna Prep game.
A lot of celebrity sightings, you think?
A lot of alums, a lot of people from the community.
Notable local personalities.
I'm sure the sidelines will be packed.
There you go.
Yeah, there'll be people that's their first high school game, and they will tell you everything, everything about Nebraska high school football, and you go, yeah, have you met Bobby Mills? 1,000-yard guy. Step back. All right, 8:30. Sauter's coming up next.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. The Connor Happer Show.
I'm going to bury a take in here. S'mores are overrated.
Whoa! What kind of a monster are you? Explain yourself. Show your work, Connor.
Melted marshmallow, guys?
Delicious.
No. Not really. Not really at all. Why? Marshmallow is not a good thing. Marshmallows aren't good.
The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A frigid start to Friday with wind chills in the single digits. We'll see lots of sunshine throughout the day, but remaining cold and breezy with northwest winds gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. Highs in the low 30s with feels-like temperatures remaining in the teens and lower 20s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. Accident on I-80 West by 445 still being worked on. There's also an accident on 50th and Farnham. L Street eastbound is seeing heavy congestion from 120th to 84th, and Dodge Street is slowing down around 72nd. My name's Conrad. That's been your morning traffic.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by IBEW Local 22.
Does great pay, fully funded medical benefits, and a solid retirement sound good to you? IBEW has immediate openings for journeyman electricians. Invest in yourself with IBEW Local 22. Call Bob at 402-980-7596.
Shingles add beauty, protection, and value to your home. You want CertainTeed shingles. Carp's Complete Home Exteriors is a certified CertainTeed shingle master. When it comes to your roof, CertainTeed shingles and Carp's have you covered. Online at carpsomaha.com.
Liberty First Credit Union makes auto loans easy. Apply now and get on the road with fast approvals, low flexible payments, and no prepayment penalty. Before you buy, visit any branch of Liberty First Credit Union or apply online to get pre-approved for easy shopping without the financial hassles. Why wait? With rates as low as 3.89% APR, you could be on your way today. Rates, terms, and conditions are subject to change. Learn more and apply today at libertyfirstcu.com. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose.
Do you hear what we hear? Omaha Steaks has tons of jobs and hours. Right now, we're hiring for a variety of seasonal positions in our warehouses. Plus, all positions come with a great employee discount on food you can use all year long. To view available job openings and to apply online, go to omahasteaks.com/jobs or text STEAKS to 22633 to apply today. This holiday season, dash through the dough and earn extra cash working at Omaha Steaks.
Last year's 42 Degrees Veterans Day promotion was a huge success. Besides the thousands of dollars of food and toiletries donated, 42 Degrees wrote a check for $2,000 to the Veterans Food Pantry. So help a veteran and help yourself to an extra discount. 5% for 2 items, 10% for 4 items, or 15% for 6 items. So let's show support to our veterans in 2022 and make this Veterans Day even better. 42 Degrees, your source for CBDs, Kratom, and Delta products. By your mom's house.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has been making your game day experience one to remember for 18 years with our award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. But now your game day just got bigger and better with Oscar's newly upgraded audio-video system. Cheer on your favorite teams this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall, showing up to 8 games at once, and of course, 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
This weekend, Omaha Maverick men's and women's basketball open their season at home, with the women taking on Wichita State Saturday at 2:05, and the men start a new era under Coach Chris Crutchfield Sunday at 2:05 versus Idaho. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now at the Baxter Arena box office by calling 402-554-6200 or at omavs.com/tigs.
Did you know Kohl's has early holiday deals on the top toys? It was a game changer for me. I got Kohl's Cash and all my kids' favorites, like Marvel must-have starting at $11.99, Squishmallows for $25 and under, a Fisher-Price Dreamhouse for $49.99, and found so much more, while saving $10 off every $25 I spent, plus an extra 20% off. More gifts, more savings, more reasons to get to Kohl's. Select styles, $10 off 25 offer ends November 12th, 20% offer ends November 19th. Toys, coupons do not apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Welcome to the After Hours Lounge on 1620 The Zone.
He looked like he was running in slow motion during that open field run.
He's a strider.
So would that equate to him being a slightly more athletic Ben Roethlisberger?
Had to
What's happening with him running the ball?
Because they're taking the DBs
the secondary downfield. Catch After Hours 6 to 8, Monday through Friday, or as the sports schedule allows. Brought to you by Iowa Western Community College and Payne West on 1620 The Zone.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
1620 The Zone.
What is more professional, Ravi? Mike or Michael? Like if you were receiving a form letter invite, would you rather get it from a Mike or a Michael?
I mean, I think Michael is probably more formal, but it depends on your industry. I think you can get away with Mike.
Well, let's ask this guy because he is putting together the River Battle, the Battle Bowl, which, by the way, not going to have to worry about weather. You're going over to the Unidome in Cedar Falls. But I noticed on your form letter, it is Michael Sauter. I've never called you Michael in my life.
Oh, it does say that. Wow. I didn't put the form letter together, so I don't.
Is that okay? So you signed it. Is this your signature? Because if it is, you should be a doctor.
It is. It is a. It was sent to me in the way it looks. How about that?
Okay, that's a safe way to describe this. But it's coming up in 2 weeks. It looks like you have a really, really good setup. I mean, I know this has kind of been one of your side projects that has really taken off. Kudos, by the way, getting this battle between Iowa and Nebraska as a high school all-star game this time of the year as the season ends over in the Unidome. You've taken this to another level.
Yeah, that was so Donnie Wood is him and a guy, Corey Bachman. They're the owners of the game. And they asked if I thought it would be a problem if we could get Team Nebraska, kids to go to Cedar Falls and all that. And at first I was like, I really don't want to do that, everything. But no, I think it'd be good. Now, I wish last year we would have played indoors because last year the game, it's always played the weekend of Thanksgiving, and we had Noah Walters playing quarterback last year, and it was like a 30-mile-an-hour wind, just straight wind the whole time. Hey, by the way, Team Nebraska three-peat last year. I believe it was like 27-7 or something like that, 3 or something. We just smoked them because we had 12 sacks in that game. So we're looking to do the same. I still have the Golden Football Trophy on my desk. Look at it every day. And, I like the squad so far that has committed to playing in it. Have a lot of guys playing tonight. So we'll see, how that works out. I don't want to, push them to our like, oh, hey, I need to hear back. But we have some guys that have committed to playing it that I am excited about. And one of those guys is, like, our defensive line right now is Corver Dema, Corver Dema, Titus Richardson from Fremont, big wrestler guy, and Vic Isley. So, Corver and Vic Isley from Grand Island Northwest are two of probably the top 4 senior pass rushers in the state. So, we're looking to get some more sacks.
Let's and we will talk more about that next week. So let's talk about we start the state semifinals. We're going to go a little rapid fire here. Let's start in Class A. Lincoln Southwest was very excited to be up at halftime against Westside, and they were celebrating. And Westside is one of those teams that, as talented as they are, when they smell blood and they start feeling themselves and big plays start happening and the light show goes crazy at Phelps Field, you go on the other sideline, we're in trouble. That's kind of what happened last week. And Westside, that game started to play out like you thought it was going to play. So Westside trying to get back to a 4th straight final, which is pretty amazing in this day and age. They take on Grand Island again. Grand Island did something to Millard South. I was really surprised by that. I mean, they shut down Millard South. How do you see this game over at 87th and Pacific tonight?
Yeah, Grand Island's win was, for some reason, did I pick Millard South? to win
I think
last week?
you did. We'll give you credit because we're going to get to that game next. You picked Prep, and I believe you did pick GI.
Okay. So no, so I took a little heat last week from that pick, but Grand Island, the last time they did play, was it week 2, 3 back in September, and it was 37-13. So that's a lot of points, 24 points to make up somehow. Now Grand Island is playing a lot better. Colton Marsh had a huge pick six thing for Grand Island last week against Millard South. Chrisman is back. He's playing. He's healthy. They spread it out enough. Is it one of those things where Grand Island's athletes on the outside just don't match up, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like. I mean, Anthony Rizak, quarterback, is 24 yards away from 1,000 and 1,000 this year. 1,000 receiving or 1,000 passing and 1,000 rushing. He's 24, 26 yards away from it. That's pretty phenomenal. Is Caleb Benning going to play or not? That's the question.
Let's ask.
Do they even really need him to, should they wait or should they? I'm not gonna. I don't know, so I can't tell you that. I just think it's going to be hard for Grand Island to overcome the 24 points that's a pretty big gap there. Now weather kind of changes things. It's going to be cold. Hopefully it won't be super windy, just straight cold. People will be able to handle that, but I do think that Westside obviously is a better team. Look, at the beginning of the year when we talked about this, like teams to beat and everything in Class A, we all kind of agreed. When I say we all, I mean people that follow this stuff. There's 7, maybe 8 teams that can win it in Class A. Well, no one had Grand Island in that 7 or maybe 8.
Correct.
Nope. Yep. I don't care who you're talking about. No one had them. So credit to Coach Tomlin. I've said it for years. He's one of, if not the best high school coaches in the state. Gets more out of less than anybody. It's a perfect fit for him. When jobs come open in the Metro and Lincoln, he's always the first one or one of the first 2 to get a call, and he's always said no. So credit to him and what he's done this year, because I saw them in June at their camp, and I was like, man, I don't know, it might be tough. But making it to semis and having a chance is I'm not counting them out by any means. I think they definitely have a chance. I just think it's going to be pretty tough to overcome the athleticism from Westside on the outside, especially offensively for Grand Island. And just the back end of Westside is so good.
Michael, on the other side of the bracket, you've got Creighton Prep and Gretna. I know earlier in the season, that was a really close game all the way back in September, 16-13. Gretna was able to come out on top. Do you think we're looking at another kind of close, low-scoring game, especially considering the weather here, or how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's, if someone gets to 20 points, they'll be real happy. I will be at this game tonight. The Creighton Prep the Prep and Gretna game is where I'll be tonight. It is, I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be just a grinder. I think it's going to be a hard hitting, just physical football game. I do think the final score will be something like a 17-14 or something like that. Man, we'll see if Prep can get a couple of splash plays. They don't. When I say that, in the first one, 16-13. If I believe Gretna was up like 14-0 or something like that to start, and Prep had to have a couple of big plays to kind of get back in it. Can Prep just grind it out and keep Zane Flores on the sideline? That's the thing. Gretna is so well coached, it's fundamentally sound. I was talking with a coach last night. Gretna's average players are far better than any other team's average players. Meaning they don't miss tackles. They're always in the right spot. All those things, right? Their studs are really good, right? But their second tier guys are just really solid, and that's going to be an issue. Can Marty Brown and that offensive line get moving a little bit? They're obviously familiar with each other. October 9th they played, but they have the equalizer in Zane Flores.
Yep.
So at Gretna, so it's. That one is very, how do I say it? Very intriguing, I guess. Gretna is now, their last loss was October 7th, 2021. So they won 17 in a row. Yes, we all were at the state final game last year. We know what happened. So they definitely won that game.
I mean, they find a way to win. It's not just number 12 as the trigger man, but here's two things. They can't let Marty Brown get leaky yardage. And then whatever happens in the red zone, like if Gretna is converting in the red zone and they're putting up 7, that is definitely not a good scenario for Prep. But I think this is going to be a fabulous game. I mean, the way Prep is playing, and especially defensively, that they have changed things up almost week by week. And they're going to have to change up their defense a little bit now because they play, deep shell, whatever, against Flores. This is a fantastic matchup tonight. I can't wait to see this game. Hey, let's slide to B. There's another great story. Well, and it's kind of the Tim Yonk run here. So when Tim was at Gross, he won a state title. They loved him there. He got the opportunity to go to Prep. He might take Prep to the state final for the first time since 14. Gross, this has been their whole year. They've got the senior class. They've got Jake Garcia. I mean, they are well coached. Tom Van Hout is having a great year. That community in South O has risen up. They get to play a state semifinal at Bryan. They take on Scottsbluff. They built for this. They're building for one more game. I think everybody would love to see a Bennington-Gross matchup. Does Gross get there through Scottsbluff tonight?
Another, what I think is going to be a super close game. I've Chris Cottrell, the radio voice of the Bearcats, because they have those in small town, Robbie. They actually have people that follow them and do the radio broadcast all over. So
just call me out here, Souter. I see how it is.
Where the hell did that come from? I'm popular in Scottsbluff, by the way.
Yeah, they are. Gross is so ready for this game. I think that, again, 21-17, something like that. Gross just barely kind of gets over the hump. Scottsbluff with Sebastian Boyle. As a running back, you have two. Well, you have three. Owen Brennan's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
back.
Stoll.
Breaker for Gross. So, I would love true story. When the brackets came out, I called Judd Hall at Scottsbluff and I called Tom at Gross, and I said, "Hey, can we? If this game happens, can it be 4:00? Because selfishly, I would love to go to that and then go to another game, whatever that was going to be at the time. But obviously it didn't happen. I wish I could be at that one, but I do think it might take an hour, 20 minutes. Yeah. I don't know if the forward pass is going to be a thing in that game at all. So if you like just slobber knocking, head knocking, linemen just banging on each other, that's the game. There'll be some tailgating going on. I know the Gross people are super excited. They've waited for this for a really long time. 2012 was the last time they made a state title game, and that's the one they won, and the only time in their history. And that was with Coach Yonk. So that's such a cool story. If they both win tonight, that would be awesome. So I don't know. I just
make a pick.
I kind of been on Gross all year, and I can't really go away from it.
All right, on the other side of that Class B bracket, Bennington and Waverly. Bennington's kind of been dominating people all season. Waverly does
4 straight. Robbie
does have the couple losses on the year. What can Waverly do anything to slow the Bennington train down?
Maybe maybe. They have really nice athletes. Preston Harms is a really good athlete, track guy, and basketball player. Obviously, his dad is Anthony Harms, for people who don't know that. So I just, Cooper Skorbecki is a tight end linebacker for them. That's really good. I don't know if they got enough, honestly. Like, Weston Heineman at defensive end is one of the better defensive ends in the state. Ethan Wins had a really nice year for Bennington defensively. And their back end has been really, really good. Lordson's been really good. Owen Douglas has had a nice year. They just are really, really deep. But Bennington has now won 24 in a row. It could be, if it was 45 degrees, this game would be a shootout. It still might be, because both teams like to throw it around a little bit and get that big chunk play. I just don't. Waverly's had a really good season, and Coach Manstead is one of the best humans you'll find, and a good coach, and their defensive coordinator is great. All that. I don't know. Bennington is the Elkhorn South before Elkhorn South went Class A. They just have more depth and more numbers and all of that right now. So I think their train's probably still rolling a little bit.
All right, I want to throw in a plug. Trey Bird can spin it for Bennington. I feel like I got to make that every week. That's not on you.
Yeah.
All right, we got a minute, which I know is not easy for you.
That's right.
We go C1, C2, and then the rest. Is there a game that you have your eye on and a game to watch as maybe a major upset? Because I think a lot of people like to see Aurora Pearson C1, but, oh, by the way, there's Adams Central who knows how to play this time of the year. Is there a game you're looking at and maybe a game to watch of somebody on upset alert here in about a minute?
Yeah, I think I C1, C2. I think as you go down, I don't think that I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to see an upset, honestly. I think the best game of those will be Battle Creek and Cedar Catholic. They played October 7th, and Cedar Catholic was winning, but Battle Creek won 21 to 12. Battle Creek was up at halftime, I believe, 6-0. That obviously huge rivalry, Northeast Nebraska rivalry thing. I think that's probably the best game, if you will, and I don't know if Ord can handle. Norfolk Catholic's so good and so deep. They've been the favorite all year, and Aurora has been the favorite all year. I do think we get the Aurora Pierce matchup that we've all kind of been wanting and waiting for in C1 in the final, which would be awesome. I think that happens, and then I think Norfolk Catholic and Battle Creek and Cedar Catholic is a toss up to me. But Norfolk Catholic probably is. I mean, they've been the clear favorite all year in C2.
Well, we'll see you tonight out at Gretna. Dress warmly.
Yeah, it's rock and roll. I'm ready.
All right, my man. All right, Michael. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, yeah, bye.
Should I change the banner for him and just put Michael Sauter? Maybe we'll do that next
Sounds
time.
weird to call him Michael.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
It does sound weird.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Mike Sauter.
By the way, that is the 42nd straight week that Sauter has been on this radio station where you say, hey, Mike, in the last minute, and
4 minutes later.
Yeah.
I've learned quickly since I've been here.
He's good at what he does.
No, I like guests like that. Give you nice, full answers.
But you see what I did? I said, hey, got a minute. So he don't.
Yep.
All right. He has good stuff, by the way.
He does.
At thenebpreps.com. Enjoy the games tonight. And we'll have the state finals all be set. That'll play a week from Monday at Memorial Stadium. Mike Schaefer, Matt Verzal in the last hour of 1620 The Zone in the mornings.
For the Jays, the Huskers, and even you Jayskers, we are 1620 The Zone.
Hey, everybody, it's Michael Hoover, Ted and Wally's, and their 3,000 flavors of goodness. Just wonderful ice cream at both locations. Benson, next to Taste of New Orleans, and in the Old Market. You know what surprises me whenever I go into Ted and Wally's? It's first the variety of the flavors, but also the quality, no matter what you're talking about. The keto ice cream. I know what you're thinking to yourself. Why would I want to have keto ice cream? What am I looking for? It tastes as good as any of the ice cream. I can't tell the difference. Whether you are a vegan or you want goat milk or you want any grass-fed, whatever you're looking for, you're going to find that at Ted and Wally's because they want to make a product that fits you. Everybody's different. man, maybe I just want some great original vanilla. That's wonderful too. But maybe you want the ooey gooey cake, or maybe you want some cinnamon ice cream. Whatever you're looking for, the 3,000 flavors will have you covered. And remember, it's real sugar versus corn syrup, and it's made the old-fashioned way with 20% butterfat. Head over to 2 locations, one in Benson and, of course, in the Old Market, and tell them Severe sent you.
Listen to the Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows. The Creighton men's basketball pregame and postgame shows on 1620 The Zone. The Woodhouse Auto Family Blue Jay shoot-around and overtime shows are also presented by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More, by Barry Law, by Union Bank and Trust, by DJ's Dugout, and by McDowell Law. Before and after each Creighton game, exclusively on your home for the Creighton Blue Jays. 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone mobile app and 1620thezone.com.
Yellowstone, television's #1 show, returns on Paramount Network.
I, John Dudley, do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the state of Montana against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Featuring an all-star cast led by Academy Award winner Kevin Costner.
The invasion is over.
They will fight you dirty.
Is there any other way?
As the Dutton family fights to protect their legacy, they'll learn power has a price.
Signing this is a declaration of war.
We're already at war.
Yellowstone returns Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern for an epic 2-hour premiere event exclusively on Paramount Network.
Get ready for the Genesis Health Club's grand opening at 84th and Q Street this Saturday, November 12th. Special classes, prizes, food, a bounce house, and fun games for the kids. Plus, no enrollment on month-to-month memberships and a chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card. One day only this Saturday at the 84th and Q Street Genesis Health Club's location in Omaha. Construction is finished and fitness has reached a whole new level in Omaha with top-of-the-line equipment. Tons of fun, motivating classes, including strength, Zumba and cycle, basketball, indoor track, luxury locker rooms with fluffy towel service, plus indoor and outdoor swimming pools. Relax afterwards in a hot tub, dry saunas, and steam rooms, or get a massage from one of our professionals in the luxury spa. Come celebrate with Genesis. You're invited to the grand opening of the completely remodeled 84th and Q Street location this Saturday. One day only. No enrollment on month-to-month memberships. Plus, your chance to win a $500 Amazon gift card. Come see us at the 84th and Q Street Genesis Health Club location this Saturday. RSVP at genesishealthclubs.com.
From basketball to volleyball, baseball to softball, soccer, tennis, and so much more, the Creighton sports season is packed with action. The 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law, covers it all. Each week, we visit with Blue Jay athletes and coaches to hear their stories and document their climb through the Big East Conference. The 1620 The Jays podcast drops each Friday morning and is found at 1620thezone.com and all major podcast platforms. Just search 1620 The Jays. Covering all things Creighton Blue Jays, it's the 1620 The Jays podcast, presented by Barry Law from 1620 The Zone.
The brand new Dollar General Distribution Center in Blair is now hiring. Starting wage is up to $20.10 per hour with benefits including medical, dental, vision, and 401k. Apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Again, apply today by texting DG Warehouse to 25000 or online at dollargeneral.com/careers. Dollar General can't wait to have you become a team member at their brand new distribution center.
Omaha Hockey hits the road to take on NCHC foe Minnesota Duluth this weekend. Pregame is at 6:30 tonight. Puck drops at 7. It's UNO at Minnesota Duluth tonight on your new home for Maverick Hockey. News Talk 1290 Coil.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. Accident on I-80 West by 445 still being worked on. There's also an accident on 50th and Farnham. L Street eastbound is seeing heavy congestion from 120th to 84th, and Dodge Street is slowing down around 72nd. My name's Conrad. That's been your morning traffic.
This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More.
Hi, I'm Mark Evans, owner of Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More. Right now, we'll open your drain line for only $93 or it's free. Call for details or request service at justcallburton.com.
Thank you to everyone who voted for MD West One in the Best of Omaha contest. We are thrilled to announce MD West One has been named the #1 private medical practice in Omaha for 4 years in a row. MD West One is also named first place in the orthopedic surgery and neurosurgical spine surgery. Our 34 board certified surgeons specialize in treating every bone, joint, or muscle condition from head to toe. Go to mdwest1.com to meet the #1 place to go for orthopedic, neurosurgery, and spine.
With almost everything in life, you have choices. You can pick a lot, a little, or somewhere in the middle. So shouldn't there be an internet plan that's just as clever? One that allows you to add TV or home automation whenever. That's why Cox now offers flexible internet plans, giving you all the services you desire at nothing you don't require. Additional services can be added at then current regular rates. All services subject to residential customer service agreement and acceptable use policy found at cox.com/policies. Restrictions apply.
Creighton Sports Update.
Don't miss any top 25 basketball action this week. The number 9 Creighton men's basketball team returns to the CHI Health Center Omaha on Monday as they host Holy Cross. And the number 21 ranked women's basketball team opens their home schedule against Nebraska Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Limited tickets are available online at gocreighton.com/tickets. And that's your Creighton Sports Update.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
For the past year, 42 Degrees has partnered with the Omaha Veterans Pantry. On Veterans Day, 42 Degrees will donate a portion of our sales to the food pantry, and your donations will reward you with a discount. So come help a veteran and save. 42 Degrees.
At Simply Safe Home Security, we know in an emergency, the clock is ticking. So we designed an advanced security system powered by live 24/7 professional monitoring agents who use Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture video evidence and verify a threat. Then alert police so you get faster police response. Right now, get 40% off any new system. Visit simplysafe.com/holiday to save big today. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Hi, everybody. Gary Sharp, voice of Omaha men's basketball. The Mavs are back home for the first time this season at Baxter Arena when they take on the Vandals of Idaho on Sunday afternoon. Tip-off is 2:05, airtime 1:30, right here on your home of Maverick basketball. News Talk 1290 Coil.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.
All right, last hour, leading into the weekend, we kick it off with Husker 24/7. Mike Schaefer, who joins us now. Last night did not register on the scale of taking your shirt off and helicoptering it at a Nebraska basketball game, but Huskers are 2-0 after beating Omaha. Good morning, Schaefer.
Yeah, Denham Dawson gave some people some exciting moments yesterday in that contest. It was a fun game. I will say this for Nebraska basketball. I don't know how good they're going to be, but they are infinitely more enjoyable than last year's bunch for 2 games.
Yeah, I think it's made in Omaha, but I do think it's kind of like for Hoiberg, at least, as he's a game-by-game guy kind of, for them to be 2-0, I mean, at least is a relief because they lose one of the bye games. That'd be the 6th bye game he had lost. But for them to be 2-0, I agree with you. I told Ravi this. I think they can be and Fred keeps bringing this up, a likable team. I mean, they're not super flashy, but they're steady. You don't have to worry about that just Jekyll and Hyde roller coaster plays that you're going to see out of this team.
Yeah, well, and they also do like the small stuff that previous teams didn't do particularly well. They have better basketball IQ. I think you trust your ball handlers a little bit better. And of course, it's Maine and UNO, so it's not like they've gone against Michigan or Indiana here. So we'll see it when they get an increase in competition, I'm sure. But just from a stylistic and aesthetic standpoint, completely better than the hero ball of the last couple.
Shafe, we finally saw CJ Wilcher get going a little bit and maybe live up to that reputation that he had coming out of high school as a shooter. Is this maybe an indication that he's finally figuring things out, or you still need more sample size to decide there?
Definitely going to need more sample size because he also wasn't really visible in the first 3 contests that they had this year. And so it was good to see him break out a little bit last night. I mean, he's someone that he had a really good stretch at the end of last season, and he's a highly regarded shooter, and he's got a quick enough release at times where he doesn't need a lot of space, and that confidence level is high and the form is down. I mean, he's gonna rack up some points that way. So I think he's kind of an interesting piece. But the other part about CJ Wilcher is he clearly put in a ton of work in the offseason. I mean, wouldn't say he completely reshaped his body, but he definitely dropped some weight. He looks a little bit more spry. I mean, he's not like the level of athlete that Denham Dawson is, but he has the ability to get some shots up, and I think he's going to have a nice year. I don't know
I don't know that he's a guy that you're going to be able to depend on for 15 points in a Big Ten game, but he's someone that has the ability to score 15 points in any game.
Hey, you're a good person to ask because you've actually seen a lot of Omaha basketball. You and Shelby. What were your thoughts on Omaha?
Super athletic. I mean, they have some guys that can jump and do some things as well. I mean, the Summit is a fascinating conference year in and year out because you sometimes have wildly different styles of teams where you have some of these senior-dominated, slow it down teams. You have teams that can really push it. I think UNO has enough versatility that they're going to be able to play with some different teams. I mean, I think it's a collection of a lot of pieces that are going to have to learn how to play together. But I like what I saw, and then of course you got those two kids and Youngers and Fiddler, and just from an Omaha perspective, I mean, I say it all the time, especially when the Summit Conference comes around. If you can get to a couple Mavs games a year, you're going to have a good time. It's the quality product, and with Fiddler and Youngers, you got some local kids to root for as well, and some nice players that Crutchfield already brought in that are going to help them, I think, this year. I think there's going to be some fun games at Baxter.
Shafe, moving over to football. In your mind, what's a positive result Nebraska can realistically achieve this weekend against Michigan?
Well, they can go there and no one has a debilitating injury, or you don't lose anybody for an extended period of time. I mean, there's that. They can cover the game, but there's different ways where a cover kind of looks good and the cover actually matters, or if it's just they happen to lose by 29 instead of 31. Are we really going to split hairs on that? So, for me, if they go out and they execute kind of a strategy where they can keep it close, like they're playing USC in 2005, I mean, or 2006, maybe that's what it's got to be on Saturday. Part of it, Michigan is good. Michigan has also had some times this year where they've struggled a little bit, and so maybe Nebraska can put some stress on them. I just, without knowing this quarterback situation, it's just so hard to be able to feel confident about anything with this team at the moment.
So give me a number that would be a good target number for Nebraska of Anthony Grant carries.
I mean, if you can get them 20 carries, I think that'd be pretty good, because that means you've had enough success where you're not just, wasting carries, or he's not just getting a couple here and then you're having to wait another drive to get them some more. So I think you can get them right around 20. And if you're combining that with a little bit of quarterback run game, I think you could have an effective run game against a very good run defense. I mean, and what effective means is kind of the eye of the beholder. But if you're Nebraska and you can get 135 yards for a team that's averaging 70 or allowing 70, that's a pretty good day in that situation. So I think with Anthony Grant, if you can get him over 20 carries, it means you're able to sustain some drives. He had some success. And I think that's only probably going to happen if you have some quarterback run game that goes along with it.
Shafe, what do you think the split's going to be in terms of quarterback play? How percentage-wise, Purdy versus Smothers, what do you think we end up seeing?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to imagine watching 6 quarters of Chubba Purdy struggle and think that you want to put him in a situation against the best defense that he'll have played at this point in his career.
Can I introduce you to Mark Whipple?
Well, yeah. I mean, I understand, he's part of the equation, but at the same time, it's hard for me to imagine that these guys whose job security is tied to all of this, and maybe Whipple, I mean, because he knows he's not likely to be the offensive coordinator if Mickey's retained, he views it differently. But I don't know what I would have to see at practice this week to make me think, yeah, Chubba Purdy's the guy that I'm going to put in here. Because you owe it to the player, too. Chubba Purdy can't help that he's put in this situation and he's not ready for it. It should be on his coaches to determine we're not helping him at all.
Mm-hmm.
We're hurting our team. We have to set ego aside here and do what's right for the individual and do what's right for the collective. And that didn't happen on Saturday with Minnesota. And I would hope that it happens against Michigan, but I can't say with a ton of confidence that it will.
I asked you about running backs as Mike Schaefer from Husker 24/7 joined us. Blake Corum, what would be considered a win for this defense in a game, even if Michigan wins by 3-4 touchdowns. What do you think would be a win that Corum's playing the entire game of his number at the end of the day that you could go, you know what? We just ran through Brown, Ibrahim, and Corum. So 3 running backs. Oh, by the way, we got Allen and maybe Caleb Johnson on the back end. What do you think a number would be okay for Nebraska to go, you know what? We did our job on the ground against Corum.
The crazy thing is I feel like they should feel good about how they did against Brown and Ibrahim, and those guys had, 140 and 125 or something like that. So if Blake Corum gets 130 yards and he does it on 25 carries, I think the real question is how many carries here.
Yeah.
Like if he has to earn those yards, if he has to grind that out, I think you're going to feel good even if it's 130. If he has 130 yards on 10 carries and the other running back, I think it's Edwards,
Yep.
and he has 170 on 12 carries, then that feels a lot different, So if you're forcing them to have to earn those yards, if you're forcing Blake Corum to have to earn those extra carries and everything that goes along with it, then I think you can feel better about it, even if you're giving up over 100 yards. I guess I don't know that it's a slam dunk that Michigan's going to exceed their average, and they're averaging around 220, 230 yards rushing. Nebraska's done a pretty nice job these last couple of weeks against teams that just want to run right at them. So does Michigan, and we'll see if that defense can hold up again. I'm not expecting it to be like Michigan's going to run for 90 yards or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if Blake Corum only has 130 and their other running back has 60 and McCarthy has 20, then you're keeping them under the average, but that's still 210 yards.
Shafe, what level of concern do you have that this thing really gets away from Nebraska tomorrow?
I really don't. If they get their, I almost said a word that you're probably not allowed to say. If they get their butt kicked on Saturday, what does it matter? I guess that's the existential crisis I have with this game is if Nebraska goes and gets blown out, they're expected to get blown out. They have a backup quarterback in a year that's went to hell with an interim coach, and they're playing the number 3 team in the country. Are we really going to sit here on Monday and Tuesday on your shows and on other shows and talk about how bad of a performance it was? No. It's sort of expected at this point. They're 31-point underdogs. The only way that it sort of goes completely pear-shaped is if we're talking about, a new Blake Corum went for 440 yards in a game and Michigan put up 84 points. That's about the only way that it should rise to a level of should there be even more concern here.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think Nebraska, they're not playing with house money, I guess, but there's no realistic expectation that I have where it's like, well, if they go lose by 3 touchdowns, I'm going to be upset because of X, This is just kind of a game where you get in, you get out, as bad as that sounds.
Yeah, that's where you're at. I'm glad you referenced it. Robbie and I were talking about that 06 game in USC. Remember how much excitement there was for people to go to LA, and Callahan was like, just don't let this game get away from us. This is the game plan we're going to use, right or wrong. He wanted it to be that way. I thought it cheated the game at that moment. There's a different feeling of dread this year. But I'm with you. I'm curious in my head, what is a call-in show? What are the calls like? They're probably going to be, and I'm getting that from our listeners, is, hey, now let's really dive into who's going to be the next coach. You and I were, we had discussions last week on air about all of the stuff that was going on last week. Names popped up. Then it has been very, very quiet. So some people will say you float some names and then it gets quiet and then boom, here we go. We're close to the finish line. It's 60 days today. Do you buy into any of the quietness this week surrounding the Nebraska coaching job?
Yeah, I buy into it in the sense that, nothing was named, nothing happened, so you move forward with it. I guess I'm at the point now where if Nebraska doesn't name a coach by Wednesday against Wisconsin, or the Wednesday in front of the Wisconsin game, then you're sort of just looking at it not happening till after Iowa, which was sort of the conventional thought anyways until we got to the start of the month of November, and then it became, well, maybe they can announce this early. And so I guess if you get to Wednesday and there's no press release and there's no, pomp and circumstance and there's no third floor press conference, then it really feels like you can kind of expect that Nebraska's next coach probably doesn't get named until after that Iowa game. which then all of a sudden the clock and the pressure on Trev Alberts is really, really big, in my opinion. Because if you make the move to move on from Scott Frost on September 10th, and you don't have a coach named until after December 10th, doesn't that look really bad for how this whole thing played out?
Whoa.
So it becomes kind of fascinating in a way.
So you use the date December 10th?
Well, what I'm saying is,
okay.
if they don't have someone ready to go, like a couple days after the Iowa game, does that mean that they're still in the vetting process?
Gotcha.
Still have to have
Makes
these
sense.
conversations. And then you're all the way into December 10th and you don't have a coach. Look, one, what does it look like for Mickey as he's out there recruiting? What does your recruiting class look like? I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. And you made the move to pull the plug on Scott Frost, which I think was the right decision. But you made that in September, and it's now December, and you don't have that head coach.
Hey, I know we kind of talk about this, but I think this needs to be more. So if Mickey has got an ability to stay at Nebraska, and he's not the head coach, but he's an assistant coach, do you think people fully understand that that's not just a slam dunk with a new guy coming in, that, the blending of an old staff with a new staff and somebody that maybe you don't know, how that is all factoring into maybe how Trev is thinking in his head of trying to put this together? Because I do believe, and this is a benefit for Nebraska because they cannot have any off days once they make an official announcement, is that when they make an announcement, that plan's going to be unveiled pretty quick on names on staff, and all that stuff's going to fall in line. It's not going to drag until January. But do you think people understand how it's not just a slam dunk of, hey, you're the new head coach, and then, hey, we got this guy who essentially is keeping our current roster together and our recruiting class together. Can you guys just meet with each other?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a situation where the individual, if it's not Mickey, comes in and he has to look at Mickey and decide whether this is something I'm comfortable with. Because I mean, I can't think of a situation where a coach was held over and they didn't leave within 2 years after that stretch. I mean, it happened with Sean Watson. It happened with Turner Gill. They didn't retain anybody with Mike Riley. And so if you're going to retain Mickey Joseph, who's immensely popular, you're always going to have that in the back, if you're a coach here. And so they have to be comfortable with that. They have to be comfortable, with Mickey and what he can provide. And yeah, it's not a slam dunk. I mean, I think we make it, I'm guilty of this too, where you say things like, yeah, I'll be here in some capacity. Well, that's not necessarily true. And it requires whoever hires them to not have somebody that they already want as a wide receivers coach and to be willing to work with them and everything else. But ultimately, whoever you hire as the head coach has to make that decision for himself. It can't be a Trev Alberts decision. It really can't be a Mickey Joseph decision. It has to be a decision from whoever the next head coach is.
I agree. Shafe, have a good weekend. Good hearing from you yesterday at the basketball game.
Yeah, it was that was good. Well, hopefully the basketball game can get people through what's going to be an unhappy Saturday, or at least just the malaise of a Saturday.
That is true.
I have not been this just sort of like indifferent to a game that I've ever had to cover before.
Yeah,
it's like a totally foreign feeling to me, and I hate it. I hope to never do it again.
I'm with you. Thanks, Shafe.
Hey guys.
That's the question, and it's fair to ask. The motivation to watch, how long you hang around, even if you're an ardent fan. And I think I've mentioned this numerous times. I have a friend who, they're a diehard fan. They're a season ticket holder. They like to take their family to one road game a year. They wanted to go to Dublin. Things fell through. And then they're like, you know what? We got to go. Let's go to Michigan, Nebraska, thinking that game might. And he took his family to go to Detroit yesterday. And he texted me and he's like, pain.
Should have just gone to Dublin.
So I'm like, yeah, hey, there's some nice places to eat in Ann Arbor. Yeah, it's tough tomorrow. I mean, how long do you hang around? That's why I keep saying RG3 may keep you around. He may just say some wild stuff, and you're like, oh, what's going to be next? Let's watch this train wreck.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of looking at the schedule in terms of what other games are going on at the same time. Nebraska-Michigan might get relegated to the second television. That's all I'm saying.
That Alabama Ole Miss is at 2:30, correct?
Alabama Ole Miss is at 2:30. Wisconsin Iowa's at 2:30. There might be something else that gets priority on the primary television.
How many times that's happened?
For a Nebraska game, almost never. Even if it's not a very good game, I usually just out of
principle.
Well, and out of, you do this, and so you want to. But I mean, I'm sure I'll rewatch it like I always do. But especially if it's ugly early, probably relegate it to the second TV for the live viewing.
Will I get a UCF Tulane spot on your viewing pleasure in the 2:30 window?
Ooh, maybe we'll. Sometimes I'll go 3 screens, and so maybe we'll get UCF Tulane on there. I'll do some scoreboard watching to see what deserves the second and maybe third television, but I don't imagine Nebraska's going to be on the primary setup for very long.
All right, Matt Verzal is coming up next, and we'll also share our final thoughts on what we think is going to happen, a couple other things that are going on this Veterans Day right here on 1620 The Zone.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone is brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine. Previously on The Crossover.
Okay, now it is going to get violent. Now it gets violent. He went negative on
what?
the Beatles.
You guys unanimously think that Strawberry Fields Forever is a good song?
Absolutely. Yes, great song. Yes, it's a good song.
Yes. I don't think that everybody thinks that Strawberry Fields Forever is a great song. Like, does everybody think that?
I think so. I've never met anyone that didn't like it.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, The Connor Happer Show, Unsportsmanlike Conduct, 6A to 6P, 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
A frigid start to Friday with wind chills in the single digits. We'll see lots of sunshine throughout the day, but remaining cold and breezy with northwest winds gusting 20 to 30 miles per hour. Highs in the low 30s with feels-like temperatures remaining in the teens and lower 20s. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Mornings on 1620 The Zone, brought to you by MD West One Orthopedics, Neurosurgery, and Spine.
At Sid Dillon Chevrolet, we prioritize you and your vehicle needs. Visit our dealerships to shop inventory or to order your new vehicle. Shop online at SidDillonChevy.com.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Chevy, find new roads.
The college basketball season is here, and if you're looking for tickets to the biggest games, be sure to check out ticketsforless.com. Whether you love the Huskers, Creighton, or UNO, ticketsforless.com has the best selection of seats with all no per ticket fees. Plus, you can save on every ticket when you order using the promo code THEZONE at ticketsforless.com. That's right. Simply enter the code THEZONE at checkout, and you'll save on basketball tickets to Nebraska, Creighton, and UNO. And you'll save just because you're listening to the show as well. Shop for seats for your favorite events now and save at ticketsforless.com.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect, support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
West Omaha, you're in for a treat. Cops is now open at 180th and Center. Famous for their pizza and wings, but with their new location comes an extensive new menu that includes salmon, certified Angus beef fillets, ribeyes, New York strips, several pasta dishes, salads, and an extensive variety of shareable appetizers. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. Now open at Shadow Lake Town Center and 180th and Center. Click copspizza.com to see the menu. Pizza, steaks, pasta, salads, and so much more.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Omaha hockey hits the road to take on NCHC foe Minnesota Duluth this weekend. Pregame is at 6:30 tonight. Puck drops at 7. It's UNO at Minnesota Duluth tonight on your new home for Maverick Hockey. News Talk 1290 Coil.
Start your engines.
Joe's Indoor Karting in Council Bluffs is off the charts crazy. Joe's Karting is fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing action at over 40 miles per hour. The only speed restriction on these karts is how good you are. Joe's Karting is located just a couple of blocks north of Bass Pro Shop and directly east of AMC Theater in Council Bluffs, Iowa. Go watch a movie. Come race at Joe's. Planning a bachelor party, graduation party, or just a night out with friends? Go to Joe's. Remember, Joe's Karting is your place to race.
1620 The Zone.
All right, Fridays with Maddie, as we welcome in. First of all, congratulations, now official because he signed on the dotted line, but the nephew is now officially in the Nebraska baseball recruiting class. That's nice for the fam.
Yeah, cool thing. Max is he's a good kid. He works. I mean, he plays hard. He's not the loudest one out there, but he'll give you everything he's got. So it's a cool thing for the family. I know his mom and dad and grandma and his uncle are all happy. So that was a neat thing.
We've seen him play football, and he, how important he was to Lincoln Southeast. But he's also, by the way, hits 500. I mean, he's a hell of a baseball player. You ever think about playing football?
Does he?
Did he want to play football in college over baseball at any point?
He wanted to play both.
Mm-hmm.
But the way the setup was, and you can take this however you want. There's not a huge need for a white running back, and so probably needed to. He played a lot of defense too. Had the ability. Don't kid yourself if Coach Bolt and the crew and Coach Mickey get together and they say, hey, we'd like to try him at outside backer and see how he does, he would be there. He likes sports. He likes to play. He's a team guy. He just the way it was going at that time, the recruiting setup didn't fit what he wanted to do, or what they wanted to do at dear old Nebraska U.
You got to see firsthand last week a Nebraska commit in Brock Knutson. Thoughts?
So I was impressed. I like him. He has that attitude, that swagger, that cachet. And by the way, people on the internet, get your ass together. The two clips that are circulating around are from the beginning of the year. Okay? It was the North Platte game, which was their first or second. It was the Colorado game. Not condoning what he did. But if you've ever been in a situation you have never lost your ass, then you're a better human being than I am. What he did was terrible. Okay? They gave him a punishment. They gave him a penalty. He served that. So we've got to start to understand as a society, once we give those punishments and those penalties, let it go. The powers that be said, this is what your penalty is. This is what your punishment is. You serve this and we're good. Okay? He did it. He's an excitable kid. He should never hold someone down and try to stomp on their leg. He did it twice. Hasn't done it since. But he's a big kid. I think at times it's a little bit of Shaquille O'Neal principle. He's going to hit somebody, they're going to go flying the other way. But he's got a nasty attitude and he don't care. You want to boo him? He loves it. He enjoyed it. So yeah, I mean, he's very raw, but the talent and probably more than anything for me is the attitude is there.
So help me.
And if you don't think your little darlings from back in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s did that, you're wrong. They just didn't get caught.
So let me ask you, and we talked about it, and you're absolutely right on the timeline about the video, and it was, the NSA considered a case closed. There's the one video where, and this, you work with these guys, this was you, is, when you're that big, I saw this with Teddy Prohaska. When you're that big, guys are going to dive at your legs. They're going to pull some stuff because they don't see eye to eye with you. They're not as large. And there is the one video clip where it looks like the guy is just kind of gnarling on his other leg, and that's his reaction. So what do you tell the offensive lineman that you work with, whether it be at Scud or elsewhere, when some guy is pulling that crap? What do you do in response that doesn't end up being a 15-yard penalty or getting ejected?
Okay. So easiest way to do this, you know it's coming. They know it's coming. Okay. They know what they're doing. Now, I have no problem with someone that is smaller trying to go low on a bigger player. Okay. And low is relative. I mean, you're in the mid-thigh to hip range. You're not down at the knee or an ankle.
Mm-hmm.
When you get down on someone, you start to twist the knee or an ankle, you get a warning. Hey, that's it. Don't come at don't go at things that are going to help me on later in life. Okay. If they continue to do that now, stomping on someone, never acceptable. Never. But if you go down and I kind of give you a little dead leg, I give you a little fake foot and you're down on the ground, and now I can pile drive or I can just lay on top of you. And once I'm on top of you, if I just kind of keep my hands out where the referee cannot call holding, as soon as that referee turns their back and your head gets shoved into the turf, that becomes not my problem. But every time you want to do that, you're going to get the full brunt of my force on top of you. And if you want to continue to do this in that manner, which I have, again, from the thigh up, I have no problem with. None. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to go lower than that, you're going to get in a spot where you're pursuing a play and I'm pursuing you. As long as you see me coming, I'm going to hit you hard. And I'm going to hit you over and over and over again until you just don't want to play no more. But yeah, smaller players have to have something to equalize. It cannot be dirty like knee down.
Mm-hmm.
It can be legal knee up. Okay? Do not try to hit someone in the knee. It's just not kosher. But it is what it is. It happened, and you got to protect. You've got to aggressively protect yourself. So he did it in the wrong way. Hopefully he can evolve and do it in the right way. But the attitude and the athleticism, I was pretty impressed with it.
Okay, Versa, you mentioned the attitude. I wanted to ask about the athleticism. A lot of times we see these big offensive linemen maybe don't move as well, but you liked how he was moving around too?
He pursued a play. We ran a toss to our offensive left. He was the defensive tackle. He pursued it all the way out of bounds and made the play when it cut back and hit our running back in a very hard and aggressive manner.
Okay, well that's good to hear, because I know a lot of people have a little bit of an issue with how some of the Nebraska offensive linemen don't quite move the way you would like them to these days.
He is not a finished product.
Sure.
He is a work in progress. His stance. Okay. So
break him down. If you're the offensive line coach at Nebraska and you acquire him.
Yeah. I am in lockstep with my strength coach and say, okay, as I assess him, here's what he does well. He is a fresh prick. He moves decently well. We need to make some alterations to his stance. But as far as like power and those kind of things, I need you to up his power output. Okay? So we need explosive things out of him. We need box jumps. We need plyometrics. We need these things for him to evolve to the next level, because he's got the missing piece that we don't have. He's got the attitude. He has got the attitude that we need to morph our offensive line into. The guy that's going to be right there as the echo of the whistle hit. The guy that's going to be, hey, you want to hit my quarterback late? I'm going to hit you early. You know, he's got that.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to mold the player around it. And it's Scott's Bluff coaching offense that fits the talent they have very well. Very well. We've got to evolve him now into more of a college style, pro style offense. Okay? He's got the attitude. We've got to now build some of the athleticism and some of the other things, the power behind it. Because he's, probably I didn't look at the program, 260, maybe 270. He's more than that. I don't know. I'm not very good at guessing those, but he's got room to be an athletic 305 pounds, and look jacked.
So with a guy like that, with the not a finished product, you get him into the weight program. How long, in your mind, in a perfect world, You're talking 2 years before he's ready, or what's your time frame on something like that?
It's how hard you want to work. That when the plan is established, listen, man, you're talking about like 17 to 19-year-old kids.
Mm-hmm.
They are all natural testosterone factory. A couple carbs, and he can be in the mix. Very. I don't know if he's an early enrollee guy, but you get him in the weight room and you get him on just football. Your football 24/7. Your weight room, school, and film, and you're going to be. I mean, they can grow, but this is what they're built to do. They're built to eat, lift heavy, and be big. Like it's just that's the way it is.
And sometimes you only have 2 of those 3 qualities. Adverse ones. What do you expect to happen tomorrow?
Oof.
That's probably the good answer.
In a perfect world, we can play keep away. Right? We can play keep away. We can find some form of running game, which if a huge brain that's calling the plays, this mind, like when you get your running back, is probably the highlight of your team, frothed up and doing good and almost 90 yards in the first quarter. Just a novel concept I'm going to throw out there, which linemen are excited and he's excited. Maybe just keep giving him the ball. I don't need to see what I already know is that we have one quarterback who unfortunately is hurt that throws a great deep ball. I don't need to see the other ones attempt to do it. I know they can't do it or they currently struggle doing it. You could develop any sort of mesh concept when people man you up, and the mesh was just one guy's running left and one guy's running right. Please don't run into each other. Try to bump your defensive guys offline and just throw the ball short and get 5-6 yards because the clock is your biggest ally in this thing. Right? But you can just not display your huge brain that I know involves 809 routes, which is just the go, and we chuck it up in the air. I don't need to see the other 2 quarterbacks trying that. I need to see them running the ball. I need to see them as a viable threat to run the ball. We can play 11 on 11 instead of like, the Nebraska quarterback's very rarely going to run it. But so we can just play 10 on 11. Well, when you ran the quarterback, you scored a freaking touchdown, he walked right in the end. So if you want to have a battle off old crotchy D-bags, I'm in. OC, run freaking ball like you were doing. And you gave your linemen who were getting crucified the whole freaking year one set where they were doing. They were in it, and they were going against what's perceived as the best defensive line in the set, whatever it is in our conference, however terrible that is. But they were doing it. And then you took it away from them. And that's a bunch of shit. Sorry about that.
No problem. I like unfiltered verse. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, we're done.
Well, I mean, we could continue on. There's other.
Hey,
I mean,
you want to go watch a game tonight? You go watch Gross and Scotts Bluff.
Oh yes.
That baby's about to get bowdy and rowdy in the cold.
All right, so you've played against both. I mean, they both. I mean, Gross's offensive line is leading the charge, but you got 3 guys in that game that have gone over 1,000 yards. You want to pick that game?
Gross is my dark horse for the season.
That's right. That's right.
I was not mad last week. I was just running my mouth, having some fun. Everybody all heard about it. I'm like, it was a joke. That thing, buddy, that thing is going to be a head knocker, and that's going to be fun. Like, listen, go to Walmart or wherever you go, Bass Pro if you're rich, go buy a bunch of cold weather gear. Go get some footy warmers and all that stuff. Get waterproof, weatherproof boots. Go watch that game. Because if you like old school gangster, I'm going to punch you in the face. You're going to punch me in the face. We're going to keep punching until somebody doesn't want to punch no more. That's your game. That's going to be awesome.
We will see you at 7:00 at Bryan then.
I can't. My freaking bartender's out of town. I got to stream it. I got to watch it at the shop.
Oh my gosh! All right.
Guys trying to make a living. Evidently, you can't bartend and make a living.
I know.
But no, it's going to be a good one. Go out there, Sharpie. Quit being soft.
No, wait a minute. Hey, I would go and watch the Creighton Prep offensive line against that Gretna offensive line.
Oh man, that one. Hey, all you throwers too. All you throwers of the football.
Yeah.
It's gonna be cold tonight.
I know. Well, the Prep has no interest in throwing the ball.
Man, but Gretna's got that little CrossFit muscle guy. Holy Christ, that guy is yoked.
Yes, he
Seen
is.
that little guy?
Yes, he is.
Hey, I'll tell you, he's the missing link for them. He goes out and he does his thing. That guy is solid.
Yeah,
There's some good games tonight.
There are some good games, and I imagine you will not be at Phelps Field where GI. Well, if you had to, GI comes in to play. That guy over there at Westside.
Oh, I got a couple calls out. Don't fret.
Versus
Boys from the 308. Boys from the 308 won all the smoke tonight.
I mean, my well-coached football team. Verz, as always, I appreciate it. I'll see you later.
Hey, boys.
That's Matt Verzal. That's good. We had Verz on a good day.
Yeah, he was spicy today. I like that.
So every game starts at 7. It's too bad they can't stagger some things.
Yeah, it would be really nice if it were possible to go to both.
We had, and this is going back, I want to say 15. You had both semifinals were at Buell. So Millard North and Bellevue West played. That's the game to go. They were both in the semifinals. That's the game where Millard North ran a trick play on a 2-point conversion to beat Bellevue West. That was when Kowalski was a quarterback of Bellevue West. Horrible pass interference call on Bellevue West right in front of their own bench. Terrible call. But Millard North won that game.
I thought it was a great call.
And then Millard West and North played afterwards.
Yeah.
So you had both semifinals right there at Buell.
It's perfect.
I wish they would is there any reason why we can't have like a high school game at 1:00 today?
I mean,
let school out.
Kids are in school, but
kids are out like all the time for in-service days.
It's true. There's in-service days. You just have virtual learning. It's fine. It's fine. Figure it out. Let's go play some football.
We can stagger so we can go see games.
Yeah, like a 1-4-7 start.
Ooh, now you're talking.
Yeah, a little triple header.
That's the problem. You schools that share stadiums, be better.
Let's do this, man.
Yes.
Come on. We can do this.
All right. So for the one person that's getting at us, we apologize for anything that is said on the air. And if you heard that, I guess I'm required to do that, right? The FCC comes hollering.
We have no control over what our guests say. We do our best.
Bill apparently does not know Verz.
Yeah.
He apologized.
I've learned you got to keep your head on a swivel.
That's okay. That's okay. It was.
I just enjoy when he gets on his rants.
Well, that was good stuff there. That was good stuff. Boy, Kelsey Grammer.
And enjoyed the breakdown too.
Yeah, him and I have a very similar opinion of the play calling down in Lincoln.
Kelsey Grammer or you and Verz?
No, me and Verz.
I haven't seen Is Kelsey Grammer coming back?
I don't know. Is he doing anything?
I believe they're bringing back his show.
Oh, that's right. I think they are doing Frasier again. Because apparently they don't make any new things anymore.
But they do make new things. I just want to tell everybody that when Carrie Underwood starts singing on Sunday night, prior to your Niners taking on the Chargers, and she says, "We've waited all day for Sunday night."
Yeah.
All of us Yellowstone fans have waited until the 2-hour season 5 kickoff on Sunday night.
How old would you guess Kelsey Grammer is?
Well, he's sitting next to his daughter, who looks like she's probably mid-30s. I think Kelsey Grammer is late 60s.
73. That's my guess.
67. Good job. Good job.
Okay.
Well done.
Okay. He looks good for a 67.
He does. Yeah. I think he looks solid.
How come they never have brought back Cheers?
Too iconic to bring back.
I think everyone's still alive too. Can't say that with Frasier.
Ted Danson looks completely different. He doesn't color his hair anymore.
No, he's
Woody Harrelson is still Woody Harrelson. George Wendt still around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Norman Cliff both.
So you got Norman Cliff. They could be back.
Woody
at the bar.
Harrelson may have outgrown television. He's he's in a lot of stuff now. Like he's in pretty big movies and things. Ted Danson's still all over the place, man. That guy's on everything.
He is. He does a lot of commercials as well.
A lot of commercials, a lot of TV. I mean, he's in a new series like every year, basically.
Do you think Ted Danson's career took it to another level when he stopped coloring his hair?
I do. He looks did you watch The Good Place?
Yeah.
Great show. Terrific in it. I forget that that's Sam from Cheers.
Mm-hmm.
Like he looks like a totally different human being.
Coach passed away.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, he did.
Rhea Perlman is still around, right?
Shelley
Shelley Long?
I thought one of them passed away. We're gonna do a little.
Jay Thomas, who played Carla's boyfriend, he died a couple years ago.
Shelley Long still around. Okay. Yeah, I think that you
could have
They're good to go.
You could have they could reunite again.
They should do, because Frasier's technically a spinoff of Cheers, right?
It is.
So you could technically do like a Cheers reunion on Frasier. I think people would like that, right?
And
People love
Frasier-
Cheers. It's beloved.
Cheers was around for 11 years.
Yeah, and Frasier another 10, 11.
That's one of those, though, that weren't people pretty pleased with how it ended.
It did.
So that's one of those things.
Except for the Tonight Show that did a live Tonight Show outside of, what was it, the Pub and Finch?
Yeah.
Is the place in Boston that they turned into Cheers?
Yeah.
So they were live on the Tonight Show, and the entire cast was bombed. And it was live TV, and it was an absolute train wreck, but it was awesome.
Yeah, but in terms of like show endings,
yeah, it was
it
was a good ending.
Yes, where a lot of them, I mean, like Seinfeld gets panned for how the ending was. A lot of especially these sitcoms, the endings are not very good. On one that you actually nailed the landing on, you probably don't want to go revisit that.
270 episodes. Coach has passed away, and then Paul, who was another like side character in the bar,
like recurring.
He's passed away.
Yeah.
But Kirstie Alley, you bring her back. Phoebe Newirth, who was Fraser Crane's love interest.
Oh yeah. I mean, all the main cast is still around.
Now, the other question I have, because I'm home in the afternoon, I'm searching to watch stuff that is not Seinfeld, The Office, or Friends.
That's a big
does
three.
Cheers? I mean, Cheers hasn't been on the air since '93.
Yeah.
Does Cheers air anywhere?
So it used to be in syndication a lot. I think it kind of got phased out.
Yeah, you have to go to Netflix now to find it.
Because when I was a kid, it used to be in syndication a lot. Because I didn't really remember watching it live. But yeah, it seemed like, I don't know, early 2000s, it kind of phased out of favor.
I was in college and it would still be on.
I bring up Cheers because I'm noticing on my TikTok that there's a lot more clips of Cheers.
Okay, yeah, I haven't gotten on Cheers TikTok yet.
I mean, it's still relevant today. It would still be funny.
I mean, listen, it's a show about a bunch of friends in a bar. Like, that's probably always going to be relevant.
Ben says it's on Hulu.
Yes, it is on Hulu.
Yeah, Hulu. There we go.
And people still use. You remember the one scene?
Yeah, they still
they'll play it in stadiums.
Yeah, they still use it at the CHI.
Yeah,
at least they did as of like last year. I haven't seen it yet this year because you haven't really had a big moment yet this year. But even though it was touch and go with St. Thomas there for a minute.
Disrespect to two Summit League teams. I see where you're at this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just throw all the shade, all of it.
The We Will Rock You.
Yeah.
Stadium should be playing that.
They do. I mean, they do. Say,
so there we go.
Still relevant. Keeping Cheers alive.
All right. So there's our Cheers moment. But by the way, all right, all of us Yellowstone fans, you guys are going to watch, and then we're going to talk about it on Monday. So you've got 4 seasons to binge before you get to 7:00 on Sunday night.
It's on our list to do. It really is.
I haven't gotten to Yellowstone
yet. You can't
yet.
skip. So that's the thing. So your whole weekend, you're not going to be watching the Nebraska-Michigan game. You already both have said that. Is you can watch it, but you can't skip through it because there's it's unbelievable show. Like last night, Atlanta came to an end.
Yeah,
like Atlanta's done. Atlanta was a masterpiece. I thought year number 3 was, when they came back after a hiatus. But year 4 was fantastic. It's a show that I wish got more run. But I think when it took some time off.
Yeah,
but Atlanta just ended. Southside is coming back. Here we go. Who needs live sports? I mean, I'm certainly not watching the Thursday Night Football stuff on Amazon. As you guys said, no, we're not talking about Atlanta, Carolina.
I mean, listen,
I think you guys made the right call there.
It's not worth talking
I
about.
honestly forgot it was on.
I knew it was on.
That's where we're at.
Here's the problem with streaming. Unless it's your team, I mean, we all like the NFL.
Yeah.
Are you searching that game?
You're not going to stumble across it.
You have to go actually go get it instead of just flip on the television and just scroll through channels. I mean, now you got to go to your smart TV, you got to go where the apps are and all that stuff, or on your phone. The convenience. People that want to go to streaming and just strictly streaming, it's not just as slam dunk as, hey, it's football. So
even
Tom, Dick, and Harry and Susie are going to watch.
Even for me, where all of my television is streaming, but it's all on the same app, right?
Yeah.
So I go to the same app every time I'm going to watch television. Just even the process of remembering that I have to go to a different app, because when I go to, like, I've got Hulu TV right now. So I go to Hulu and it just pops up all the games that are on right now. And I just pick whichever one that I want to watch. And the Thursday night football game doesn't pop up. So if I forget that it's a Thursday or whatever, I'm just like, oh, all right, don't have any football to watch tonight. And I can move on to the NBA or college basketball or whatever, or move on and watch something that's not sports related. It is an extra step that if it's not a game that's worth watching or that people are talking about on Twitter or Mastodon or whatever we're going to be on in a week.
Pretzel
on Herbie. You're not talking about it on Herbie. You just kind of forget that it's happening.
Yeah. That's how I ended up on Tulsa, Memphis. We have Hulu. It popped up. That's where we're doing this.
I was watching the number 9 team in the country play basketball last night.
Did you just flex?
It's a real thing that happened.
Yeah.
I was just,
I don't know. You were working.
Yeah, technically.
And then you and D. Marinas did a podcast, I saw.
We did, yeah. Knocked that thing out after the game.
When'd you get that done?
I wrapped up about 11:30.
That's not bad.
No, it wasn't terrible.
We both got home about the same time. We got back from Lincoln. No, we got back from Lincoln about 11.
Yeah, I was.
Ran into the Cole Wetzel concert in the Baxter Arena.
I was lights out by midnight.
That's
good
pretty
to go.
good.
Yeah, that's not bad.
All right. So you guys have some homework this weekend so that we can talk about John Dutton coming up on Monday.
Listen, I don't watch shows until they're over because then I can just binge them. I don't like waiting for episodes.
We haven't done it yet.
I don't like waiting for episodes.
So I'm gonna have to talk to myself about Yellowstone.
I mean, I can read the Wikipedia if you want me to.
No. So you're gonna be the person that when Twitter is gone, you don't watch sports games and you're not gonna know what to do.
I'm just gonna watch games and I'm gonna be like Creed in The Office where he's like typing his blog on a Word document. RobbieThoughts.com.
Maybe that's our new Twitter. We're back to put a wrap on our final thoughts on what we think will happen in Ann Arbor tomorrow on 1620 The Zone. Hey, what can happen with you is you want to get yourself into a brand new vehicle. How about a refined ride that is one of the hottest SUVs going right now, the GMC Acadia? You can find out, like I did, why it's such a quality vehicle from Woodhouse Buick GMC, especially if you like quick acceleration, simple, easy-to-use cabin layout, and 3 rows of seats, a comfortable ride. You'll find it in the 2023 GMC Acadia. It fits all of those descriptions. And a bonus, they come with different styles. They've got the standard version all the way to the flashy Denali style. So whatever trim interests you, GMC is going to put you in the Acadia, which also, it's like luxury. You've got nice interior. We're going to get the 3 rows. Plus, you've got 5 USB ports. You got the 8-inch infotainment screen. Gives you all the information right there. And it keeps you safe with blind spot sensor and also detection with vehicles behind you and in front of you. And so you're never taking your eyes off the road. That's what the GMC Acadia can do for you. Check it out today. In-person, climate-controlled indoor showroom, 119th and I, Woodhouse Buick GMC, or online at woodhousebuickgmc.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Now live on Twitch, YouTube, and 1620thezone.com. Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Cheetos becoming aware and starting World War III.
That'd be a bummer because then we couldn't eat them anymore.
The most delicious war.
But that would be the thing.
You can
to
still
defeat
eat them.
You eat them.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Cheetos do whatever
You would have to get past the moral implications of eating a sentient Cheeto.
That's true, because imagine you start eating them and they start screaming.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone.
The post-workout glow at Planet Fitness doesn't just feel great. It feels 80s pump-up jam great.
Cause when you got the glow, there is no stopping what you want to do.
And now when you become a PF Black Card member, your glow can be even greater with a free Amazon Halo fitness tracker.
Get the glow.
Get the PF Black Card for 0 enrollment and just $24.99 a month. Bring a friend, enjoy massage chairs, and get a free Amazon Halo view. Deal ends November 15th. Subject to taxes, fees, and commitment. See club for details.
MD West One's team of neurosurgical spine specialists is the largest and most advanced in the greater Omaha metro. MD West One has been voted the #1 private practice and #1 in neurosurgery and spine by Best of Omaha year after year. They can help if you're suffering from recurring neck and back pain, pain, weakness, or numbness in your extremities, sciatica pain, or any other recurring issues stemming from your neck or back. Go to MDWest1.com to meet the spine team at MD West One.
Last year, 42 Degrees Veterans Day promotion was a huge success. Besides the thousands of dollars of food and toiletries donated, 42 Degrees wrote a check for $2,000 to the Veterans Food Pantry. So, help a veteran and help yourself to an extra discount. 5% for 2 items, 10% for 4 items, or 15% for 6 items. So let's show our support to our veterans in 2022 and make this Veterans Day even better. 42 Degrees, your source for CBDs, Kratom, and Delta products. By your mom's house.
This weekend, Omaha Maverick men's and women's basketball open their season at home, with the women taking on Wichita State Saturday at 2:05, and the men start a new era under Coach Chris Crutchfield Sunday at 2:05 versus Idaho. Let's pack the Baxter. Get your tickets now at the Baxter Arena box office by calling 402-554-6200 or at omavs.com/tics.
Dave Matthews Band Live. This Saturday night, CHI Health Center.
So much to say, so much to say, so much to say, so much to say. You and me together could do anything, baby.
On sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Produced by Live Nation.
Monday night basketball. The Creighton Blue Jays versus Holy Cross. Pre-game coverage begins at 6 p.m. with Ravi Lula. Tip-off is at 8. The Blue Jays, Monday night on 1620 The Zone and 1019 The K.
It's Pro Time, which means at Lowe's, you're invited to enjoy a Lowe's Pro Happy Hour. Kick back with free Pepsi Cola drinks and Frito-Lay snacks. Plus, earn 3 times bonus points per dollar on purchases of select Pepsi products. Come into Lowe's and get the full MVP treatment at Pro Happy Hour on November 17th from 2 to 5 p.m. While supplies last. Bonus points offer valid 10/27 through 12/8. Calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. See Lowes.com/L/Pro Loyalty terms.
1620 The Zone.
All right, lots of stuff going on this Friday and into the weekend. Big thank once again to Robbie and Jimmy and all of you for hanging with us this week. Tonight, Nebraska volleyball celebrates their 300 sellout. It's one of the great stories in all the college athletics is the explosion of Nebraska volleyball, from this program to the Coliseum to the Devaney Center to standing room only as a thing, 8,000, 300 sellout, to how big that program has become, to what it has done for volleyball in this state, whether it be club, high school, small college, junior college, to the impact that it has had on Creighton, the impact it's had on Omaha, and the entire state becoming a volleyball state. And they'll celebrate it tonight. Big weekend for Nebraska volleyball. They also got a matchup, top 10 matchup with Ohio State. But I think it's one of the great stories in college athletics of where Nebraska volleyball was and where they are today, and all along the way. They have 300 sellouts. I laughed. Texas volleyball tweeted out, "Hey, we had our 6th straight sellout."
Oh, that's cute.
I was just hoping that like Lexi's son would do something to respond to it. No basketball this weekend. There actually was basketball. Omaha men play their home opener at Baxter Arena against Idaho. But first and foremost is the big game tomorrow. So we've kind of gone back and forth. Are you going to touch the 30.5 to 31? You don't know how much Purdy, how much Whipple, how much Smothers, how much Mickey, how much Corum, how much McCarthy, how much of Morris on the other side of the ball. The total is hanging at 48.
I like that number.
Okay, so the total, yay or nay? Up
Over.
or down?
Over. I'm going over on total.
Over.
I will go slightly over.
I think Michigan might get the total by themselves.
Yeah, I'm with Robbie. I think Michigan gets 48. Although, thanks to listening to Lee earlier, I think Nebraska gets a touchdown. So there's that.
Probably on their scripted opening play.
Yeah, 48 to 10.
Opening drive.
Telling you, man, people's heads will explode if you get to halftime and something weird's happening. Now, it may completely change like it did against Rutgers.
Sure.
But people are like,
I'm kind of with you, though.
For the motivation to watch the game, I at least hope that happens.
No,
because
I agree.
If it's 28-0 at the end of the first quarter, it will not subside.
I kind of agree with you, though. I think this is a run it up, get Corum some numbers, show off for the committee game for Michigan, because even though Nebraska's not good, there are going to be a lot of eyeballs.
That's the scary part.
I think if I had to take the line, I would take Michigan and the points.
I will stay away from the line. I will just talk about it on Big Red Overreaction, which the shortest Big Red reaction ever, and ironically, Bishop and I are doing the show, was on the night of a Cub playoff game.
It was 5 minutes.
And it's not ironic at all.
We went 47 minutes.
Oh.
I walked in. I can't remember who was producing. I said, we got 6 breaks, right? We're going to end on a break. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, here we go.
Off to
and
the
it
races.
was after a game that was really nondescript. I mean, it was actually one of the rare shows I've done the Nebraska won.
There you go.
So anybody's,
I mean, not a lot of us have gotten to do Nebraska wins over the last handful of years.
That'd be true. Have a great weekend, everybody. Make memories. Be safe. Enjoy the football tonight. High school football semifinals.
Bundle up.
Chris told me Gross took today off. No school at Gross.
There we go. They are committed to the cause.
Wow.
I love it.
Wow.
They're in for a 1 o'clock game if they wanted one.
Yeah, true. We'll talk to you on Monday at 6.